Here at Shea, the Cardinals lose the opening game of this doubleheader by a score of 5-1, and getting ready now for game number 2. The stories of baseball don't always involve numbers, but we'll give you some numbers from Candlestick today. The Giants beat the Reds 4-3, but the story was really Dave Dravecky, a young man who is a great left-hander, pitched very serviceably, and found out last October that he had a cancerous tumor in his left arm. He had it surgically removed. They said at the time that he'd never pitch again. Well, he's amazed everyone. Rehabilitating with the Giants, pitched in the minor leagues in A-ball, then recently in AAA, activated by San Francisco in the pennant race, and the first place Giants got a true lift today when Dave Dravecky threw 92 pitches and went 8 innings to pick up the victory over Cincinnati 4-3. A remarkable story, and it certainly touches everyone around the country the way Dave Dravecky has come back from such adversity. How about the ball game at Wrigley Field today? A wild one. At one point, the Cubs had a 10-3 lead. You see, after 3 innings, it ends up with the Phillies winning at 16-13. In that game, there were 10 different pitchers. You see 29 runs, 35 hits, including 6 home runs. Ryne Sandberg had 2 of them. That gives him 5 home runs in his last 4 games. And also, Jerome Walton, the sensational young center fielder of the Cubs, had 2 hits. That extends his hitting streak to 21 games. But of course, as far as Montreal, New York, and the Cardinals are concerned, hats off to Nick Leyva and his team, the way they came back to win at 16-13 this afternoon at Wrigley Field. So how's the pennant race look? National League Eastern Division. Al Hrabosky, Montreal idol, but the Mets and Cards having a lot to say here tonight.
Well, they really do, Kenny, and we have to guard against losing all 5 of these and trailing the Mets by 5 games. Then we really wouldn't even have to worry about Chicago or Montreal. So we have a lot to just worry about what happens here in New York over the weekend.
Well, there's no question about it. This is a very big series, and the rivalry in the decade of the 80s between the Cardinals and the Mets has been well chronicled, to say the least. The funny thing to me, Al, if you would have talked to any of us at spring training and we would have said the Mets and Cardinals would be tied in August going into a big 5-game series, we all would have thought tied for first place. But it isn't the case. But still, it doesn't take anything away from this series because it's still a pennant race for both clubs.
Very true, very true. And of course, up here in New York, they really try to make an awful lot of the Cardinals and Mets rivalry. And we have a tendency to think about the Cubs and Cardinals as the greatest rivalry in baseball. But we've got our work cut out for us. I think when you looked at the 5 starting pitchers that we're going to see in this series, you know, they don't see our ace. They don't see McGrain, but we don't see Gooden. But look at those 5 guys. We don't match up very well. Maybe our best matchup was De Leon versus Darling.
There's no question when you look at this series and the rest of the season, starting pitching, the nod goes to the Mets. Let's look at the bullpen, or the relievers, if you will, and spot starters. How do you size that up?
Well, I think definitely the Cardinals have the advantage there, particularly where Worrell and Daly. In order to acquire Viola, the Mets gave up a lot of their depth in the bullpen, so it's really Worrell and Daly and host of other Cardinals against Myers.
Let's go and look at the starting 8 now, matching the Cardinals and the Mets. Pena and Carter, we know they're going to use Sasser and Barry Lyons a lot also.
No question about it. Tony Pena is the best of that matchup, so another plus for the Cardinals.
And first base, you're going to see a lot of Magadan, but Hernandez is there. I don't think there's much contest here with the year that Pedro's had.
Not at all. Pedro is, the other guys may be a little better defensively, but Pedro's put up the offensive numbers, and, you know, if we stay in this thing, he's got to be an MVP candidate.
At second base, Oquendo's had a fabulous year, and again, the Cards have to get the nod here if you're looking at him position by position.
Oquendo's had a fabulous offensive year, and in my mind, he is the best second baseman in the National League defensively. So once again, we have a plus.
And at third base, we're thrilled to death with Terry Pendleton, but my, Howard Johnson's had a brilliant year.
Definitely, Kenny. Terry Pendleton leads the National League in fielding percentage, but Howard Johnson is an improved fielder, but his offensive numbers, and truly has got to be an MVP candidate.
Mets get the nod there. At shortstop, I've got to say Ozzie gets the nod. No contest.
No contest at all. Ozzie is still Ozzie. Elsters contribute offensively, but still far short of Ozzy's numbers.
Out in the outfield, when you look at the Cardinals and the Mets and think about this series in the pennant race, you've got two very good left fielders.
Two good left fielders, but you have to give McReynolds a nod, both offensively and defensively. McReynolds had been having a slow year, but he's coming on with gangbusters, and he is the better offensive player.
Out in center field, you look at the Cardinals, you talk Thompson, but also McGee in the wings, and Juan Samuel having an off year.
Having an off year, Thompson is, our fourth outfielder, but I think we're rating this one dead even. And either one of them could have gone this way, but I think it's best to say the center field situation is even.
I agree with you. Out in right field, Tom Brunansky having another Tom Brunansky year. But then Darryl Strawberry is Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl Strawberry stirs the New York scene right here, both good and bad, but Strawberry is having another big year. His batting average may be down a little bit, but his home runs are almost close to double Brunansky's. They're right even with RBIs, but you have to give the nod to Strawberry.
And as far as guiding their teams, a lot of respect from everyone for Davey Johnson. He's had a fabulous career here, but the Rat gets the nod in my mind.
Oh, definitely. Whitey Herzog is the best. And these two guys, there's a lot of friendly rivalry, and they're very good friends. But I don't think anyone in baseball would take any manager over Whitey Herzog.
So looking at this series and the pennant race as it regards the Cardinals and the Mets, we see the Mets having the better starters, the Cardinals the better bullpen. We give Pena the nod behind the plate, Guerrero and Oquendo on the right side. Ozzie at short, but Howard Johnson is the better of the two third basemen. In the outfield, two of the spots go to the Mets. Center field's dead even, and Whitey Herzog has the strength as the manager. Well, a lot of baseball coming up yet this weekend. It's going to be kind of fun to watch these two teams play. It may be not as entertaining as series against the Cubs, but this is real baseball now that we're in August.
And I think we have to hope they're all low-run scoring affairs because, we look at the starting staff of the Mets. They just have the ability to go 6, 7, 8 innings, if not complete games. And if they do that, then their bullpen, who we rated as below the Cardinals, is a plus because Myers is capable of shutting the door for a limited period of time. So we really have our work cut out, but maybe psychologically we can get the Cardinals to do what they have done in the past. When they need to beat the Mets, they've been able to do so.
And it really has been true over the last few years, working that magic. You look at the Mets over the decade of the 80s, they've always been a strong team at home. But, Al, I don't know if they've ever been as strong as they are right now here at Shea.
Yeah, they've had an awful lot of injuries, Kenny, but they're starting to get their players back. Hernandez is going to play in the second game. Carter delivered the hit. McReynolds is coming on. Strawberry's coming on offensively. And, they got Viola. We'll see him tomorrow night. That's a big plus to their ball club. Dwight Gooden's still out, but he will come back more than likely in September.
Well, the second game coming up yet. Again, we remind you the first game went to the Mets by a score of 5-1. In the second game, it'll be Ricky Horton against Sid Fernandez here at Shea. Al is going to visit with the Cards' well-respected pitching coach, Mike Rourke, when we return after this local break to Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium, New York, where the Mets win the first game of the twilight doubleheader 5-1. There's a lot to managing a big league team. And when you look at baseball managers, often their right-hand coach is the pitching coach. Well, that's true with Whitey Herzog. His pitching coach is Mike Rourke. The former catcher is standing by with Al Hrabosky.
Thanks, Kenny. Mike, we're in the dog days of summer. The weather is accommodating, but the 3 doubleheaders in 8 days, that's tough on a pitching staff.
Well, Al, you've been through it yourself. If you have good games and you really don't have to go to the bullpen too often, everything can work out very well. If you have games where you have to go deep in the bullpen a lot of times, doubleheaders can really, work to your disadvantage. So, I really don't concern myself too much with them. You just take it one at a time and hope that, things work out.
And with a complete game by McGrain last night, we do catch a break where the bullpen is rested.
Yeah, actually, that was a good sign because in the ninth inning, we did have to go to Kenny and Todd. But really, they didn't extend themselves to the point where it would bother them if they, had to go long today.
And, Mike, now let's look at second game starter Ricky Horton. When he was pitching with the Dodgers, you and Whitey felt that you detected a mechanical flaw in his delivery. Nothing wrong with his arm. Have you been able to work some of those problems out?
Well, hopefully we have, Al. And, you know, Ricky was the first to admit it. He really felt that he was out of sync and couldn't really figure out what he was doing. But really, he had dropped down almost to sidearm, and really throwing the ball much harder than we had seen him throw. But when you drop into that position, you can throw it hard, but you lose the sink and you lose the changeup. And really, those are his two prime pitches, be able to change speeds off the fastball. The breaking ball he uses occasionally, but it's not his mainstream. You know, the mainstream is to have that ball moving in the strike zone, pitched low, and be able to throw the changeup over whenever he wants to.
And when he was pitching very well, one of the clubs he gave a lot of trouble to was the Mets.
Well, you know, oddly enough, the last year or so he pitched against the Mets, they did give him trouble. But if you go back early in his career, he really pitched pretty well against them. However, what you're looking at now is a different ball club. So oftentimes I'll say, well, you pitched, you know, not so good against this club, but better against the other club. If you're looking at the same ball club, you've got a different story. But I think the Mets today would be different than the club he pitched against when he first came in the league. They'll be a little different than the club he pitched with when he was here with us in '87.
And Mike, let's talk about Ted Power. What a turnaround he's done for the ball club, and it gives you an awful lot of credit.
Well, I think, you know, the main thing was to keep from overthrowing and get in a better throwing position. And, you know, there were a few little things. We moved them from one side of the mound to the other, which would give him a little more freedom as far as getting through the ball. And he felt more comfortable over there. I think it gave him two sides of the plate to work with. And, you know, Ted's always had a good arm, and he's had good breaking stuff. So it's just a question of getting that feeling back that when you go out there, you know you're going to put the ball pretty much where you want to, and not just have to rely on throwing the ball hard.
Okay, Mike, final question. The Mets have a great pitching staff, but psychologically, sometimes you can get that to motivate your staff. Let's see how the Cardinal pitcher is going to answer the challenge.
Well, I think, you know, we've always played the Mets pretty even over the years, and we've had some real good games against them. Games that they have blown us out, you know, that's a thing that can happen every once in a while. But overall, I think if our fellows pitch, you know, the way they have been pitched in the last couple of months, that we should be able to have some good ball games here.
Okay, thanks, Mike. We need to get the offense going, Kenny. Back to you.
Game 2 coming up. Ricky Horton against Sid Fernandez. Stay with us here at Shea. Welcome back to Shea Stadium, where the first game went to the Mets by a score of 5-1. Sellout crowd here, the 11th sellout of 1989 here in New York. Ken Wilson along with Al Hrabosky. Now it's a case of bouncing back, and we've gotten a quick look at the Cardinals lineup, and it's interesting because the same people who started the first game, the same 8, are going to start the second game. Now, in the last week or two, Whitey's been talking about it. We've been talking about it. How important his decisions in giving people a rest are going to be in these 4 doubleheaders here over a short span.
I talked to Whitey before the first game what he was going to do, and I mentioned the fact, you know, you want to rest people. He says, Al, I can't afford to do it, and especially after the first game loss. He just can't give anybody any rest right now. We've got to play for the money. And like I said, you hate to emphasize it, but if we get blown out by the Mets in this 5-game series, we're 5 behind them. Forget about the Cubs in Montreal.
Now, this is where managing is so important. Not all managing is from the first pitch to the last pitch in a game, but making out a lineup, giving your people a rest, getting your extra players in there so they can, in fact, produce for you. There's a guy named Gene Mock in about 64 said, I can't afford to let my top 2 pitchers get a rest, and fell out of a pennant race. There's some tough decisions to be made.
There really are, and of course it really hampers the spare parts because they go up, the Pagnozzis, the Wallings, the guys like that, they go up to the plate. They're not comfortable because they haven't been getting any at-bats either.
Whitey makes the decision to go with his regular starting 8 and Rick Horton. The Mets have taken the field, looking now for a sweep of this twilight doubleheader. And the fellow who pitches in game 2 for New York, oh, he was something against the Cardinals just a few days ago at Busch Stadium. Lefty Sid Fernandez.
Well, Fernandez is just an outstanding pitcher, Kenny. He just has established himself as the ace of this ball club. The Mets And that's something when they have the likes of Viola and Gooden. He has really been on a tear lately, and he just gives up very few hits. He strikes out an awful lot, and he's just really coming to his own as a pitcher. And of course, you know, you look at the Mets, Skinny, they are a ball club that is on a roll. They are feeling more and more confident about themselves now than they ever have at any point in the season. And down around the All-Star break, you know, Davey Johnson told the fans and the media here in New York, don't give up on us because you're going to look foolish when we win this thing, saying it would be his most satisfying victory, championship season, if they do go on to win.
Now let's take a look at the New York Mets defense here in game 2. McReynolds in left, Samuel in center, Carrion in right, Jeffries and Elster on the left side, Tupple and Hernandez on the right side, and Lyons will do the catching. Here is the batting order for Whitey Herzog. He has Vince Coleman hitting first, then Ozzie Smith, just as was the case in the first game. But Milt Thompson, who hit third in the first game, moves down to 7th, and Guerrero will hit third, then Brunansky and Pendleton, Jose Oquendo, Thompson, Tony Pena, who left the game in the 6th inning, starts the second game also, batting 8th, and then the pitcher Ricky Horton. The Cardinals now against the Mets this season, 5-5, a game behind them in the Eastern Division standings, as the Cubs lead Montreal by 2.5, the Mets by 4, and the Cards by 5. Coleman hitting .269, a homer, and 25 RBIs, leading it off against Fernandez. And that's ball 1. And when you see Sid Fernandez, if you look back to his recent outing against the Cardinals August the 2nd at Busch Stadium, when he shut them out on 4 hits, you remember fastballs up over and over and over again. Last 9 starts, 5-1 with an ERA under 2. And for Coleman, it's a ball and a strike.
Yeah, Kenny, Fernandez is a lot like De Leon in the fact that they are fly ball strikeout pitchers. In Busch Stadium, his approach was a lot of fastballs up to these Cardinal hitters, and they fell right into his hand, hitting the harmless fly balls.
The 1-1, and that's a strike, according to Bill Hone, the plate umpire. Harry Wendelstedt, Al's guest between games at first base. Gary Darling out at second, and Randy Marsh, who was the plate umpire in the opener, is at third. A full house at Shea. Game 2 just beginning. And it begins with Coleman striking out. And Fernandez can be a big strikeout pitcher.
He really can be. A lot of times he will not go the distance, but he will rack up a lot of numbers. He has a deceptive delivery, which really makes his fastball deceptive. With the amount of strikeouts he gets, you would think he is well over 90 miles an hour. He really is not that high a velocity, but hitters have funny swings at him.
278 is Ozzie Smith's average. Oz takes a strike on an off-speed pitch. Smith drove in the Cards' only run in the 3rd inning of the opening game with a double. He was 1 for 4. There's Ricky Horton, ready to go. He'll be making his first start of the season. It's been a long while since we have seen him as a starter with the Cardinals. Quickly, 2 strikes. We mentioned Ozzie in a bit of a slump. His last 37 at-bats have produced only 4 hits. He's had some big ones among the 4, but they've been few and far between. They play him straight away. 1-2.
Now you talk about his lack of hits, but he has hit the ball hard and much better than his average would indicate during that period of time.
Strikes. Fernandez from Hawaii, originally signed by the Dodgers. He gives up quite a few home runs. It's 2-2. The Cardinals, of course, do not hit many. They've hit the fewest in the league this season, which is an annual thing. The Mets with 106 home runs leading the league. Kevin McReynolds with the only home run in the opening game of this doubleheader. Nobody on, one out here in the first. Ozzie wanting time and getting it. Getting something in his eye. Oz stays alive. 2-2. Fernandez with a lifetime mark of 64 wins and 43 losses, and over his career he's been very effective against the Cards. 7-3. Ozzie cracks it to center. Samuel for out number 2.
Number 28.
Kind of watch Fernandez in his delivery. He sort of pushes the ball. He almost gets it, you know, he gets the ball to rise, and that's why he gets so many fly balls.
Whitey Herzog's club playing their second doubleheader of the season. They played a doubleheader at Philadelphia June 20th and swept the Phillies. I guess they're not going to get a sweep here tonight. Last year, not one doubleheader played by the Cardinals. This year, there'll be at least 5. First pitch, a strike to Guerrero. Pete with 10 home runs and 73 RBIs and hitting .307 had a couple of hits in the opening game. Each club had 7, but the Cards left 9 and the Mets won it 5-1. One ball, one strike. I guess Guerrero's first game, Al, is kind of indicative of how it went. He had 2 singles, but they both came leading off innings. The one time he was up in an RBI situation, 2 on, 2 outs in the 5th, down by 2, he flied out. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Let's take a look at the last pitch from Fernandez. A fastball, you see it's up. And Pedro and Bernansky are both vulnerable to a fastball up and in, particularly a rising fastball from Fernandez. These two were, you know, in the same Dodger organization at the same time.
Fastball in, and Pedro able to fight it off. 1-2.
Of course, you mentioned how many home runs Fernandez gives up. Well, that's more than likely trying to get a fastball in to the right-handed hitters and leaving it out over the plate.
Base is empty with 2 outs here in the first inning. Guerrero against Fernandez, whose Dodger career amounted to 2 games back in 1983. I guess you would say, to be very kind, that Fernandez is husky with a very strong lower body. And I guess we could also say he's got a few extra pounds, but he's winning this year. Full count on Guerrero.
One of the things and reasons why he is winning is because of his ability to get that breaking ball over. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the scouting report.
He doesn't lose very often. Only 3 losses this season. He's lost only once in his last 14 starts. That's what the Cards are up against here, trying to avoid being swept by the Mets. Guerrero has played straight away. 3-2. He goes down. 2 strikeouts in the first inning for Sid Fernandez. After half an inning in game 2, the Cardinals nothing, and the Mets coming up. The Cards go in order in the first, and now we're going to get a look and hopefully a long one tonight at Rick Horton.
Oh, definitely, Kenny. He needs a morale boost. Those are his numbers. You know, the one-loss record, he doesn't have one, and his numbers basically over the year. But forget about that stuff. You see 41 hits, most of those, and almost half of those hits came against Cardinals when he was pitching 2 games in a mop-up role with the Dodgers. So let's throw all of his numbers out and a new start for Ricky Horton.
Defensively for the Cardinals, the outfield, Coleman, Thompson, and Bernansky. The infield, Pendleton, Smith, Oquendo, and Guerrero. And Pena as the catcher. For New York, Mark Carrion will bat first, then Juan Samuel. Keith Hernandez, who did not play in the first game, hits third, followed by Kevin McReynolds, Tim Tuffle, Greg Jeffries, who we did not see in the first game, as is the case with Barry Lyons, then Kevin Elster and Sid Fernandez. Mark Carrion, whose dad was a big league catcher, leads off. He has good power, and he's had a good year offensively. And he takes that fastball for a strike. Carrion hitting .299, 4 homers, and 9 RBIs in only 67 at-bats.
Has 3 of those home runs in as a pitch hitter.
He's a .400 batter off the bench. 1 ball, 1 strike. He had a tough time the other night in Philadelphia. He went in after Kevin McReynolds left the game because his wife went into labor. Here is Pendleton. Now Carrion. They sent a fly ball out to him, and he ended up, unfortunately, looking like a little leaguer instead of a major leaguer. He didn't get it.
Well, it was good for us because Philadelphia went on to defeat the Mets in that game. There you see Ricky's career record, very, very good with the Cardinals, 24-12, and the way that Carrion was off balance was a good indication.
The fastball up from Horton, and it's 1 strike on Samuel, who in the first game was 1 for 3. He was also hit. He has 11 homers and 34 RBIs, hitting .255. The former Phil pounds it up the middle. Oquendo, tough throw across the body, and he gets him, and Samuel runs well out.
Runs extremely well, but a nice play by Oquendo. That's something we're beginning to see. The wizard of the second baseman, Jose. Ozzie cutting a pitcher, but Oquendo fields it on the shortstop side of second base. And with a very strong throwing arm, he makes the off-balance throw and gets a speedy runner.
No score here in the first inning. Neither team has had a base runner, and Horton now will face Keith Hernandez.
Boy, it's been a lot of injuries for Keith. Had the broken kneecap, and then he tore a ligament in his knee, just coming back.
And he takes a strike.
He's been able to pitch hit, but this will be his first time of playing in the field since he tore the ligament.
271, 3 homers, 15 RBIs. And that last series between these two teams at Busch Stadium, of course, he came up with a very big pinch hit, you might recall. 2 strikes. That was on Wednesday night, August the 2nd. In fact, it was the ninth. The Mets won 4-3. He had that 2-out 9th inning double the left center off Todd Worrell. The Mets got the 3 in the 9th to get the victory. 1-2.
You know, Kenny, the way I look at this lineup, the Mets, remember Mike Rourke said it's a different Mets ball club than the one that Ricky Horton has faced in the past. Keith Hernandez in the lineup tonight is the lone survivor.
And he gets a base hit to right with 2 outs.
I talked to Keith about the fact that he was playing the second game against left-handed pitcher Ricky Horton. He said, I told him I wanted to see a left-hander. I thought it was important for me to hit left-handers now.
Kevin McReynolds, who's just been beating up on the baseball, will step in. He scored 2 of the Mets' 5 runs in the opening game, hit a homer, stole a base. And Hernandez, who doesn't figure at this age and with those legs to be much of a base stealer, has to get back with a dive.
Not sometimes when you pick off people because they're not anticipating, they're not thinking about running, so they're stationary.
Ball one on McReynolds. McReynolds hitting .281 with those 13 homers and 58 RBIs. We mentioned he's been hot. Over the last 7 games, he has 11 hits and 32 at-bats. And he rips it to right. Brunansky races over to make the catch and end the Mets' first inning. After a frame in game 2, there's no score.
It seems in the Quad Cities, if you want to hear the music you like, you can do one of 2 things. You can either play it yourself, or you can dial 99.7 FM, KFMH, playing your rock and roll, rhythm and blues, jazz, reggae, all by request 24 hours a day. If you're tired of the same old thing, give it a twist to 99 Plus KFMH, FM's only alternative.
Well, let's take a look at this portly left-hander, Sid Fernandez, as a pitcher. A 9-3 record, good ERA. He possesses a good live fastball. It rises in the strike zone and out. A curveball and a change. The reason for his success, he's getting that curveball over, and he has a very deceptive delivery. Kind of throws out of his shirt, kind of shot puts it towards the hitters. They don't get a good look at it. They don't pick up the ball. But Gary Carter told me about Fernandez. He said he has a curveball that nobody ever swings at. And we saw that in the first inning a couple times. He would throw that curveball, and hitters don't swing at it.
There's his fastball to lead off with a strike to Tom Brunansky. Tom hitting .249 with 14 homers to lead the club, 60 RBIs. He was 1 for 4 in the first game.
There was a curveball there, but it was not for a strike. Now, we saw in the first inning, the Cardinal hitters were looking at it, taking it.
Brunansky in the first game hit 7th against the right-hander Darling, hitting cleanup in this game. 1-2.
Let's take a look at this swing and miss by Brunansky. He's made some adjustments. He likes to get his arms extended, but is vulnerable to the pitch up and in. See, the catcher's telling him to get the ball up.
2-2.
Tried to get that was a little bit too far, but Lyons was indicating to Fernandez, we want to go up the ladder, meaning that you start at the knees, go to the thighs, go up the chest, and then you get a guy out on a pitch really eye level out of the strike zone.
3 of the first 4 Cardinals against Fernandez have struck out.
Now, when a good hitter like Brunansky swings and misses at a lot of fastballs, one of the reasons is, as we said, they just don't pick up the ball. They don't pick up the spin, and then Fernandez has enough life on his fastball that where you think it is, it doesn't end up there.
Fernandez will face Terry Pendleton. No score, second inning. Ball 1. Terry in the first game went 1 for 4. He had a single. And is hitting .249 on the year. And he is in a slump. Terry is 2 for his last 22. Strike. Fernandez notching the strikeouts here in the early going, to be sure, with 3.
Now, on July 14th, he set a new club record with 16 strikeouts by a left-hander. The previous mark was from new Mets Hall of Fame inductee Jerry Koosman.
And this one goes out of play. Of course, when he had the 16 strikeouts, he also lost, which is in extreme contrast, you'll recall, to the game he pitched August the 1st against the Cardinals and won 11-0. His only strikeout was of Guerrero for the final out in the game. So that complete game shutout and a win was a 1 strikeout outing. The loss was a 16 strikeout outing. 1-2 on Pendleton. Fly ball to left. McReynolds just sort of glides in. And the first 5 cards in the opening game have been, or in the second game here, have been retired after the Cards lose 5-1 in the opening game.
Hernandez gives up very few hits. We alluded to the fact 100 hits and now 143 and 2/3 innings pitched. And you will find, or to my recollection, you will see that the first 5 or 6 innings he really dominates, but he has trouble closing a game. He only has 3 complete games, 1 shutout, and one of those complete games was that loss where Lonnie Smith hit a home run in the top of the 9th to beat him in his 16 strikeout performance.
No score here in the second inning. Whitey's club with the bases empty and 2 outs. Oquendo up there 1-0. Now 2-0. Jose in the first game went 1 for 3. He also walked and stole a base. And he's hitting .292. No homers, 35 RBIs. He and Guerrero are both in the top 10 in hitting. Three and 0. Oquendo's walk, by the way, in the first game was walk, or I should say a stolen base, was his second of the season, and it came after he walked. So he was on twice in the opening game. He and Guerrero were the only Cardinals to reach base more than once in that contest. 3-1. And he walks again. Here in the second inning with 2 outs.
Center fielder, number 25, Milt Thompson.
Milt Thompson. 0 for 3 in the first game. And hitting .276. Ball 1. He has really hit lefties well this year, which has also been a very big plus for White. That's a strike, 1-1. Cards come into this game with a record of 59 and 52. The Mets are 61 and 52. 2-1.
Well, if the Mets were to win this ball game, they'd pick up a game and a half on the Cubs. And we would lose a game and a half. So let's split the doubleheader.
That's the only fair thing. Oquendo at first, 2 down, second inning, no score. And 2-2 on Thompson.
I have a feeling we wouldn't be saying that if we would have won the first one.
No, well, you know, fairness is only important in certain situations. And this is one of them. Oquendo going on the 2-2 pitch. And that'll do it. Little line drive, and the Cards go in the second inning. Here in game 2, no score.
Well, Ricky Harden is making his first start of the year after having 23 appearances with the Dodgers. He had no record with them. He possesses a fastball, a slider, and a change. His fastball used to run and was only 81 to 83 miles per hour. Now it's 84, 88. Well, that sounds good. But what that has done to the hitters is it's gotten them into more of a comfortable hitting zone. A hitting zone to where the ball is straightened out, and that's the mile per hour range that they really like to tee off on. When it was 81 to 83, it sank, it moved, and he had all the hitters off stride and off balance.
First pitch is a fastball, strike 1 to Tim Tupple. That's a good point because we emphasize so often about changing speeds. as well as location. Ozzie has to wait for an extra bounce, and Tuffle is the first out here in the second inning.
And, you know, if you look so far in this game, the early inning, excluding Hernandez, all the hitters seem like they're hitting off their front foot. They're off balance, and it's a good indication for Ricky. And from my own personal experience, I can tell you right now what's going through Ricky's mind is he just wants to have a good game to build his confidence.
First pitch is a strike to Greg Jeffries, who's really struggling. He did not play in the first game. And the shoe-in Rookie of the Year is hitting .223 with 4 homers and 36 RBIs. There are no automatics. The bounder to Guerrero, and they're 2 down. The Cardinals made a roster move today. They have brought back Jim Lindemann, who is at Louisville on a rehabilitation.
Number 33.
He hit very well there.
Barry Lyons
Durham has gone onto the disabled list.
I think talking to Lindy, he said his first game back he hit terrible, but after that he got into a very comfortable groove. And you're right, Kenny, he hit well and put up some extra bases. You know, he hit the ball with authority.
Here's Barry Lyons, who has hit pretty well for this New York team. A team with 3 catchers. Sasser caught the first game. Carter got in the game late as a pinch hitter. 1 strike. You know, to mention Lindemann, just to give you an idea of how well he did do at Louisville. He played 14 games at AAA. And in the 14 games, he had 16 hits, 2 homers, and drove in 11. So that's why he has that glow back to his look. There's a base hit for Barry Lyons. Both Mets hits have come with 2 outs, and there's no score here in the second.
Number 21, the shortstop, Kevin Elster.
Kevin Elster will be the batter. 0 for 2 in the first game, had the 2 walks. Mets won it 5-1. A .236 hitter. Ball 1. Elster has been hitting very, very well. In the last 23 games, hitting right around .350. And he's been getting a lot of RBIs. He has also hit extremely well against the Cardinals this season. In fact, he is 10 for 30, right at .333.
And all they really want him to do is play good defense. They have some offensive bats.
Guerrero holds at first with Lyons. 2 away, second inning, no score. 1-2.
You saw Ricky just threw like the changeup. He throws his changeup with great hand action, arm speed, but the hand action where he just kind of throws that across his body and just lets the ball just sort of pop out of his hand.
Out of play, a ball, 2 strikes. The pitcher is on deck, Sid Fernandez. We mentioned the Cardinals have played just 1 prior doubleheader, and they swept that in June at Philadelphia. For the Mets, this is their 2nd doubleheader. They played a doubleheader against Houston back on July 17th, and they got hammered in both games, 6-0 and 12-3. Well, they get a little relief by winning the opening game here tonight. This is a very, very good stretch in the schedule for New York. A lot of home games. Base hit. Lyons will stop at second. And back-to-back singles from Lyons and Elster with 2 away here
The
in
pitcher, number 50, Sid Fernandez.
Now, Fernandez doesn't look like he'd be much of a hitter. And he really hasn't been in his career. But last season, he got more than his share of hits. And this year, he has 9 hits and is hitting .191, and he's driven in 5. So you have to look at this fella and take him seriously. He belts it to left center. Thompson trying to catch up with it. Does. A fabulous catch by Thompson. at the ballpark Wednesday, August 16th, a 7:35 game with the Braves. All fans 15 and under with a paid admission will receive a free, sturdy red and white contemporary sport bag. There it is. The youngsters are going to love it. Great for sporting equipment or school supplies. It's all compliments of MetLife coming up at the ballpark Wednesday night, August the 16th. Al, Milt Thompson on this catch saves 2 runs.
Oh, he ran a 50-yard dash. And as you said, from that angle, you really can't appreciate how far he went, and making a nice catch to save 2 runs in the early going.
Defense again, so essential. There's no score going to the 3rd. The Cards in the first game lost 5-1. And Tony Pena will face Sid Fernandez. Cards have had 1 base runner, Okenda, last inning with a 2-out walk. Tony takes ball 1. In the opening game, Pena was 0 for 2. He scored the Redbirds' only run. Lifted for a pinch hitter, Denny Walling, in the 6th inning. Hitting right at 250. 2-0. The Mets have been getting fabulous pitching, which pretty well explains why any team is able to win, and the Mets have won 8 of their last 10. And now the Mets pitching staff has worked 34 consecutive innings without giving up an earned run.
The last 2 games in Philadelphia were shutouts. Then Pena scored after he reached base on an error.
Tony pops it up. Lyons back on the track, has a shot, and makes the catch as he falls down. Let's pause here. 15 seconds for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals Television Network.
You're watching your station for Cardinals baseball, KLJB-TV Davenport.
Ricky Horton.
Ricky Horton. 0 for 1 while with the Dodgers, so he's in unfamiliar country here at the plate. Takes strike 1. One out, nobody on in the 3rd. No score, 2nd game. Mets won the first one 5-1. 2 strikes on Horton. Ken Wilson, Al Hrabosky, Shea Stadium. A sellout tonight for this twilight doubleheader, and a cool evening. It was 74 when the doubleheader began, but that was at 5 minutes after 5 here in New York, and it's now 9:05. So that was 4 hours ago. It's cooled down. It has been cool here in the New York area, as it has been over much of the eastern half of the country the last 3 or 4 days. And the rain is moving in up the eastern seaboard. Most of it south of here, but it's supposed to rain later tonight and all day tomorrow and maybe Saturday. Up the middle, Elster makes the stop, throws, not in time. That'll be an infield single for Ricky Horton, and the Cardinals have their first hit against Sid Fernandez.
A nice play by Elster. He gets to the ball, he slides, he gets to his feet, and makes the throw. But Ricky runs pretty good. And he has something to tell what had been his former mates down in the bullpen. But you see, Fernandez leads the National League with giving up the weakest batting average. That's 195 the National League hits against Sid Fernandez.
That coordinates pretty well with only 3 losses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Here's Vince Coleman. Vinny struck out in the first inning. And in the doubleheader is 0 for 6. He came into the twin bill with an 8-game hitting streak. We need some runs, Al. It's been tough so far tonight here. Horton at first, 1 out, no score, 3rd inning. They look for the bunt. The bunt's in the air. Foul. Lyons is there. He's got it, 2 outs.
Now, Vince Coleman is a very accomplished bunter, but a guy like Fernandez is very, very difficult to bunt against. Kenny, we've always talked about if you're even trying to sacrifice and you're a pitcher, you want to throw high fastballs. Well, this is not high, but remember, Fernandez has a rising fastball. Rising fastballs translate to the ball in the air.
Ozzie Smith, ball one. Oz flied out in the first inning. If you missed it, the Cubs lost today. They were beaten at Wrigley by the Phillies 16-3. So the Cubs now have won 6 of 8 and 11 of 15. They're still a team to contend with. But they did get beaten finally today by Philadelphia. They led early 10-3 in that game. There's a bolt to left field that McReynolds will catch up with. That retires Smith and the Cardinals. It's on to the bottom of the third inning. Here at Shea, no score. Now there's a credit card just for Cardinal fans. The St. Louis Cardinals MasterCard. When you get it, you'll get all the big league buying power of MasterCard plus a free signing bonus, special discounts, and the chance to win Cardinal memorabilia. Call 1-800-GO-CARDS and apply for yours. Cardinals trying to gain a split of this doubleheader. Losing to Ron Darling and the Mets 5-1 in the opener.
Ladies and gentlemen, leading off for the Mets. Right
And it's
fielder,
the
Mark
top of the New York
Carrion.
order in the third. Mark Carrion, Juan Samuel, and Keith Hernandez. Mark grounded to Pendleton in the first inning. Strike one. Mark's dad was Camilo Carrion, who is a catcher in the American League. White Sox, Indians. 1-1.
This guy is a pretty good hitter. In his last 17 games, he's hitting .394 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs, and most of that coming off the bench.
Ozzie charging. That's out number 1.
Center fielder, Juan
In
Samuel.
early going, I think Horton is doing a good job. He's got these guys off balance, and the key to it, Kenny, in the first 2 innings, he's been able to get not only the leadoff man, but get the first 2 guys out in an inning. That really helps.
Juan Samuel, the New York center fielder. Ball 1. They sort of have a comparison watch between Dykstra and Samuel in the press here in New York. They, of course, were traded for each other. Dykstra playing center field for Philadelphia. Ozzie smothers it and knocks it down, but it'll still be a hit for Samuel. And if you look at Samuel and Dykstra and what they've done with their new teams, they're just about even.
Well, watch Ozzie, dives for it, and it hits him in the heel of the glove. So it got underneath him, and then his knee kicked it out in front of him. But still, once again, just an outstanding play for Ozzie to get to the ball. But once Samuel reaches base, he doesn't stop as an offensive weapon. He is a good base stealer also, Kenny.
He has 25. And here is Hernandez, who singled to right with 2 outs in the first inning. Making his first start since the 18th of July. Cards would love to come up with a double play as Horton keeps Samuel close.
Well, the one thing about Ricky Horton is he has a very good pickoff move. And the reason being is, he holds that leg straight up. Watch him come into a set position, raise his leg straight up and holds it there so he can either go to the plate or to first base.
1 strike. When you freeze that runner, you've got him right where you want him. There's Sam Perlozo sending the signs across the diamond. Bill Robinson coaches at first for New York. Ricky Horton against Sid Fernandez. The first game went to the Mets 5-1. Kevin McReynolds broke a scoreless duel in the second inning with his 13th homer of the year, and the Mets were never headed. Ron Darling won it, and he is 10-9 on the year. Darling, by the way, just as an aside, now has at least 10 wins in 6 consecutive seasons for the Mets, and that ties the Mets all-time mark held by Tom Seaver, who won 10 or more 6 straight seasons, 67 through 76. So he's getting in pretty fancy company here with the Mets. Obviously trying to get a better look at the left fielder.
Or
well, there aren't that many people here. It's a sellout. What do you do in the second game of a doubleheader after you've won the first game? You keep your binoculars close by your side. Guerrero, 1 strike.
smile a lot.
Yeah. Did Darling also marry a top model?
He did, and now he's divorced her.
I see. That'll happen. It seems like athletes in New York frequently marry top models. Some of the New York Rangers have done that also. Well, then there's another top model somewhere in the crowd tonight. And he's going to find her. Out of play, 2 strikes on Guerrero. Guerrero fanned in the first inning, 2 for 5 so far in the doubleheader.
Right, Pete kind of twisting his wrist a little bit. You know, that's one of his many injuries, but lately it seems like he's really been able to extend and swing hard, really drive the ball. Let's hope that continues.
1-2. Both of these teams come into the series playing very good baseball. The Mets might be just a bit hotter than the Cardinals, and they've taken a little of the shine off the Cards with that first game victory. And Guerrero is now struck out twice against Sid Fernandez, who has 4 strikeouts.
Right fielder,
Well, this is that strike, the curveball that nobody swings at. Guerrero swings at it, he misses it, and you see how slow and lazy. He double clutched on it. He committed with his feet, kept the hands back, but it just messed up his timing.
Verdansky struck out his first at bat, and the breaking pitch for a strike. Now, we've mentioned a number of times that the Cubs lost 16-3 to the Phillies. There's been other action also in some finals. We'll be keeping you up to date on the scores in both leagues throughout the evening. But San Diego, a team that has gotten hot, won at home 13-3 over Houston as Greg Harris beat Bob Forrest. And that win moves Jack McKeon's team over 500. San Francisco and Houston still off in the distance for the Padres, but San Diego finally starting to make some noise. First place San Francisco, as we mentioned earlier, did win 4-3 over Cincinnati at Candlestick with Dave Dravecky in his first start of the season picking up the victory. Verdansky strikes out. He and Guerrero have each struck out twice. 5 strikeouts for Fernandez.
And I think when you look at the Cardinals, they need the 2 right-handed power hitters to do some damage against Fernandez. There is a perfect pitch to exploit the weakness of Verdansky. 5 strikeouts now for Fernandez. But Whitey was talking about the double headers and talking about the burden on his pitching. He said, hey, we have to get some offense.
Pendleton times the breaking pitch, but doesn't time it quite well enough and fouls it for 1 strike.
You know, we just don't have a shutout staff. So that's where Whitey's saying we have to have a little offensive help. The pitchers have done a marvelous job lately. But this is where we're going to find out if they can survive.
1-1. Playing the Mets is not exactly like playing the Pirates. The Cards began this 8-game road trip, taking 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. Last night had 5 runs on 11 hits and won 5-2. But tonight in the first game held a 1 run on 7 hits, and that run was unearned. sinking in a hurry, and it's off the top of the wall. Pendleton has got to hustle to get to second and decides to stop. And it's a long single. He misses a home run by a foot or so and ends up at first base.
And Terry really was running hard. I don't think he came out of the box thinking it was a home run.
Second baseman.
He got a long swing on it. He did look a little bit, but it was a swing that, because it made him slow down a little bit. But McReynolds, like we said, we gave the nod to McReynolds not only offensively, but defensively. He's a better left fielder.
And he played it perfectly. Now Kendo, who walked his first time up in the second inning. There are 2 outs here in the 4th. Ball 1. If you weren't with us between games, we just kind of went and matched up these 2 ball clubs heading into the heart of this big series, and each in the midst of the Eastern Division pennant race. I think the Cardinals would get the nod in personnel. Here's a base hit to left for Oquendo. Pendleton will stop at second base. One thing we didn't mention doing that between games was a look at the bench, the spare parts, if you will, and I guess you and I would probably
Center
figure
fielder,
this might have a little
Thompson.
advantage there.
Yeah, we give the nod. Actually, from the 8 position players, the Cardinals fared better than the Mets, but we gave the nod in starting pitching. And if the game is 75% pitching, I guess that tells you, what we think.
That's the thing when we have all looked at this series. If you give the Mets the nod in starting pitching, but the Cardinals the nod in the bullpen, you've got to somehow get the Mets starters out of there. Thompson, 1 strike. In other words, if you can get some Mets starters who are out in the 5th or 6th inning, you've got a real good chance. The problem, of course, is that Darling in the first game went all the way. So you never get to see that weak link New York Mets bullpen.
They have an ace in Randy Myers, their left-hander, but there is a void beyond him.
Oh, good pitch. 2 strikes. Thompson in the hole with 2 on and 2 outs and no score here in the 4th.
Well, a lot of the right-handers have struck out against Fernandez, but I have a feeling Thompson will not strike out, and hopefully he'll put the ball in play.
Ball 1.
He could have done me a favor and played it off his helmet, but it's hard to do.
I think it's to his credit on that just that he didn't sit down. He gets a medal of bravery. He hangs in there, 1 and 2.
Boy, that was a good fastball from Fernandez, and he just got a piece of it.
Fernandez trying to make it 4 shutout innings here. And if he's able to, it'll be 38 consecutive innings for the Mets pitching staff without allowing an earned run. Thompson wasn't going to hit it. Unfortunately, Bill Holm, the plate umpire, kept his right arm down.
And watch Thompson's bat on this last pitch. Watch him. He starts to commit. He's thinking fastball. It's a breaking ball, and he's looking, juggling the bat up and down, saying, "Oh, I held back."
2-2. Base hit right field. Here comes Pendleton. They're waving him in. Carry-on's throw nowhere near the mark, and at third, Oquendo is safe. An RBI single for Thompson with 2 outs here in the 4th. His 44th RBI, and the Cards lead the Mets 1-0.
New career high in RBIs for Milt Thompson. That's his 44th. And I told you, for some reason, I just felt he would get a pitch. It was the high fastball, but he got up on top of it, hit the line drive to carry on. Hernandez cuts it off and thinks he has a play at Oquendo. But the Cardinals get on the scoreboard and take a 1-0 lead.
And the Mets pitching staff has that consecutive shutout inning string, at least shutting out the opposition in terms of earned runs, stopped at 35. And here's Tony Pena, 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Ball 1. The Cardinals never led in the first game, losing 5-1, and they lead it here in the 4th in game 2, 1-0. Oquendo halfway down the line. And then darts back to third. That's why the crowd reacted. And it's 2-0 on Painting. Now, Oquendo looking at Rich Hacker, the coach, as if, well, was I right or not?
He came in there not even flinched from Fernandez. So Jose trying to get him to balk. He does not.
1-0 Cards in the fourth. 2-0. And out of play. The Cards at this moment are 5 behind first place Chicago. The Mets are 4 out. The Cards, with a victory, of course, here in the second game, would pick up half a game and head into play tomorrow 4.5 off the pace.
Tied with the Mets.
Which is exactly where New York would be. He took a little off, and it's 2-2.
Well, Fernandez has such a good fastball that when he changes speeds, takes a little off, you can't gear down or readjust.
Cards have rallied here in the fourth inning after Guerrero and Bernansky struck out. Pendleton, Oquendo, and Thompson have singled. And one more hit would be real nice right here from Painter. 2-2. He rips it, but foul. And lucky he didn't catch the ankle of Jose Oquendo, who is coming down the line, as he should, in foul ground.
Now, you always take your lead and stay in foul territory, because if you would be hit by the ball, it would just be no play. If he was in fair territory and the ball hits him, Tony would get a base hit, but Oquendo would be out and would end the inning.
Yeah, that's not the kind of hit we want here.
No.
Cards lead 1-0. Oakland beat Chicago today 4-1 in the American League. Everything else tonight, limited schedule. 2-2, 2 on, 2 outs, fourth inning. And out of play again.
Well, Pena has done his best hitting on the road and against left-handed pitching. I don't think he was too pleased when Whitey pitch hit for him in the first game, but there was a method for that. There was a reason, and it was just to give him a little spell in the second game against Fernandez.
Pitcher Ricky Horton on deck. Popped up, foul, long run for Jefferies, and he's there. Boy, he had a long way to go. His first step was back, and he really had to hurry. A run on 3 hits, and after 3.5, the Cards lead the Mets 1-0. Here's our Lincoln Mercury stolen base update. Vince Coleman leading the ball club with 50 of 52. And then Ozzie Smith with 23 stolen bases. Our stolen base update tonight here at Shea, brought to you by your Metro St. Louis Lincoln Mercury dealers. Rick Horton, through 3, has shut out the Mets on 4 hits. They got a 2-out Hernandez single in the first inning. And then with 2 down in the second inning, back-to-back hits from Lyons and Ellsbury. And then an infield single in the third with 1 out from Samuel. But Hernandez hit into a double play. So their hits have been well-spaced, well-positioned, and well-timed.
You know, and after Ricky signed with the Cardinals, after his release from the Dodgers, he was sent down to Louisville to kind of stretch out. I know he went 4 and I think 5. I don't think he went beyond 5 innings. But he's got a cool night tonight, so let's hope we can get at least 5 and maybe 6 or 7.
Oh, I like it. Kevin McReynolds flied to right in the first inning. Hit a home run in the first game. Walked and scored also. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I mentioned Kevin McReynolds' wife having the new baby.
Ozzie gets a nice hop off the lip of the grass. 1 out.
I mentioned it last night about Jim Lindemann, but we haven't said it today, but he's a new daddy of a second daughter.
And a good-sized young lass.
Well, what was
the first one was bigger, he tells us.
Yeah, it was 8'6", 8'9".
I think it was this one 8'3", 8-3 and the other one was 8-9?
Yeah, that's right. And 3 weeks early.
Lucky it didn't grow anymore, huh? Kevin McReynolds, pride of North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Amanda Ray McReynolds.
Tim Tupple pounds one on the left side, and Pendleton is there. And quickly they're 2 away. And Horton is doing a fine job.
He's getting the ground balls, taking advantage of the outstanding defense the Cardinals possess. So he's doing it also with few pitches.
Well, Greg Jeffries, who just turned 22 on the 1st of August, is wishing this '89 season never took place. He was much heralded coming in, and he's had a tough time of it. He rips that one foul, 1 strike.
Well, he came up in September and hit .321. He had won 2 previous years. He had been the minor league player of the year. And as you said, Kenny, he was nobody even considered it to be a race for the rookie of the year. It was his all to be had.
1 ball, 1 strike. Hey, interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in most organizations, he'd be in the minor leagues right now, but they're so worried about his confidence.
Off the plate, a bounder. Ozzie has it. And he throws out Jeffries. And the easiest inning so far tonight for Rick Horton. 3 ground balls. 4 complete. Cards have the only run. Giving the Cards the run and a 1-0 lead for Rick Horton, making his first start as a Cardinal and coming up to bat to lead off here in the 5th inning.
Got the first hit tonight against Fernandez also, so maybe it's Ricky's night.
Well, that's been the story the Cardinals have seen the last 2 nights. A pitcher's arm and his bat headlines. Fly ball left center field. McReynolds is there for the catch. Of course, last night in Pittsburgh, it was McGrain with his arm and his bat, a home run. And the night before that, it was Bob Walk with his arm and his bat that beat the Cardinals. Well, maybe Horton will fit in perfectly.
Left fielder, Vince Coleman.
Still would like to get a few more runs.
No, I'm not ready to head back to the hotel with this guaranteed as a win yet. Coleman is 0 for 2, looking for his first hit in the doubleheader. Ball 1. Well, Mark and Julie Bauman from St. Louis are here. They want to say hi to everyone back home. Stacy Sternak is here tonight at Shea. She's from Chesterfield, Missouri. Cards lead at 1-0 in the 5th inning. Bases empty, 1 away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets won the first game 5-1. Ron Darling went all the way. Over 50,000 here tonight. The 11th sellout of the season at Shea. And the Mets have gone over 2 million in home attendance, as the Cards, of course, have already done.
They're the 3rd National League club, the 4th in baseball, and the Cardinals were the 1st.
That bunt foul, 1 and 2. Also, Rick Don and Jack Garrett, Steve Heath, and Dixie Sellenreek are here from Jonesburg, Missouri. They watched the Cardinals in Pittsburgh, went up to Cooperstown. They're here tonight. I'd like to say hi to Mom, Amy, Bob, Joy, Karen, Chad, and Joe back home. Coleman trying to get on with 1 out here in the 5th against Fernandez. 2 and 2. Also, Jeff and Doreen Smith are here from St. Louis. Jeff wants to say hi to his friends at McDonnell Douglas and his wife Doreen, who is an RN at Children's Hospital in the Pediatrics Intensive Care Unit. Wants to say hi to everyone there. There's a hit in the left center field. That'll go all the way to the wall. Coleman is racing. He's at second base. A bad relay throw, and he'll go easily into 3rd. A good throw to the cutoff man, and now they might have had a good shot at Coleman, but he didn't slow up, and the Mets failed to execute. It'll be a triple, I assume. We'll check it.
I kind of agree with you, Kenny. Fastball out over the middle of the plate,
Shortstop,
and it gets all the way to the wall between the outfielders. Now McReynolds fields the ball, He throws the ball here, but you see the shortstop missed it. And that's where it was kind of the lackadaisical play by Elster.
Now the infield is pulled in. Vince at third, 1 out. And Ozzy's the hitter. Oz drove in the club's only run in the first inning. And that's his only hit in the doubleheader. He is 1 for 6. And Oz would love another RBI hit here. His hits have been so few and far between lately. Cards trying to make it 2-0. They're up only by a run now. Suicide squeeze. Coleman comes and the bunt is foul. And it looked like a pitch up. Tough to bunt.
Well, tough up and in the rib cage. And Ozzy, a very good bunter. He doesn't get it down, but what he also does is there's not many that would stay in to get the ball, you know, foul it off and keep the play alive. Most guys would have vacated the area, and Coleman would have been in dead duck.
1 ball, 1 strike. Guerrero is on deck. 1 out. 1-0 Cardinals. Ooh, that's a good pitch. 1-2.
Hacker flashing the signs at third base. Riggleman's the first base coach. Let's let Ozzy get it in. Hernandez now paying a little attention. Stepped off to see what Coleman would do at third.
Ground ball to Tumple. Coleman holds. Ozzy's out, 2 away, and it'll be up to Guerrero.
That's a judgment play right there. Let's take a look at Vince. Of course, the third base coach can't help you at all. Took that first step back, and then it's too late. You can't do a thing. But, you know, Rich Hacker really cannot help that runner at all. He has to make up the mind. Rich can do all the mental preparation before the ball is put in play, but from that point on, it's up to the base runner. And with Guerrero coming up, maybe it's not a bad idea unless you know you're going to be safe.
Guerrero fouls at 1 strike. Guerrero seeking some revenge here against Sid Fernandez. Guerrero struck out in the first and again in the fourth. Coleman at third, 2 down. He had a 1-out triple here in the 5th. Cards with the game's only run last inning. Thompson singling it in. Mets won the first game 5-1. Here's a deep high drive left center field. Well tagged. McReynolds back to the wall. Yeah, it's gone. Pedro Guerrero cracks a 2-run homer. He gets that sweet revenge. Number 11. RBIs 74 and 75, and the Cardinals take the lead 3-0.
Boy, that's big, Kenny. You know, I was thinking right before the swing of the bat, the difference in a few years ago with the emphasis, the strategy of bullpens. Fernandez doesn't complete a lot of games. Instead of the high rising fastball, he gets the ball down. And we know Pete likes to drive the ball, a low ball hitter, so that's in his wheelhouse.
Oh, he's really been swinging the bat well again. Number 11. And the first pitch is a strike to Brunansky. That's 13 home runs that Fernandez has given up this season. 3-0 Cardinals here in game 2. Oh, that was nice to see. Cardinals going into last inning have been shut out on 1 hit by Fernandez. 2 strikes.
You know, that's a good point too, Kim, because the point I was trying to make is the fact that Fernandez does not complete a lot of games. Now you're seeing the hitters come up there their 3rd time around, or maybe in the case with Fernandez it would be like facing another guy the 4th time, and they're getting much better swings.
Two strikes on top. Like Guerrero, Brunansky has struck out twice. He drives one to right. This is not that deep. Carry-on is there. And that retires the Cardinals, but not before They score a pair, a 2-run Guerrero homer. And here at Shea, 3-0 Cardinals. Let's take a look at our GMC truck scoreboard. Philadelphia wins 16-13 at Chicago. Sandberg 2 more homers, 5 in the last 4 games. Walton now has a 21-game hitting streak. Dave Dravecky, the big story at Candlestick. He gets the win going 8-4-3 over Cincinnati. San Diego wins 13-3 over Houston as Greg Harris beat Bob Forsch. Over in the American League, at Comiskey Park, the A's defeated Chicago 4-1. Storm Davis won his 12th. They're in the 7th inning at Cleveland, and the Brewers lead the Indians 7-2. Early at Texas with Nolan Ryan going for his 13th. The Rangers lead Detroit 1-0. Later, Seattle will be at California. The scoreboard brought to you by your Midwest GMC truck dealers. When you're in St. Louis, see Bellman, Bomarito, or Brockland GMC. Shea Stadium, New York, where the Mets won the opening game of this doubleheader 5-1. But the Cardinals in the 5th inning lead in game 2 3-0. And Ricky Horton has shut out the Mets on 4 hits. He's facing Lyons, Elster, and then Fernandez Due. Lyons and Elster, you recall, in the 2nd had 2 out hits. And Lyons turns this one to right center, 1 hop off the wall. And he'll lumber into second base for the leadoff 5th inning double.
First time tonight that Ricky fails to get the first man out of an inning. Breaking ball and driven out into right center. Goes up against the wall, and Lyons gets a double. Fleury hits the ball very well against the Cardinals, not only this season, but throughout his career.
Lyons at second, nobody out. Elster at the plate, and a guy named Strawberry on deck. He'll bat for Fernandez. Action out in the Mets bullpen. Elster pops it up. Ozzie. 1 out.
It's like Jeff Musselman.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Throwing in the pen, and that's a big out for Ricky.
Number 18.
That's Musselman. Left-hander that just acquired from Toronto on the Mookie Wilson deal.
Here's Darryl Strawberry. In the first game, he went 0 for 4 and struck out twice, hitting .236, 25 homers, 61 RBIs.
Sure wouldn't mind seeing Strawberry just pitch hit here, but I would think they probably would put him out to play, too.
That's a strike. The right fielder, Carry-On, is on deck.
Costello is up in the Cardinals bullpen.
And Pena wants to go out and visit with Horton, with Lyons out at second base and 1 out.
We talked about Ricky when he went down to Louisville to extend himself, preparing for the starting assignments. He was really basically throwing 5, it's 4 and 4, and I think a 5-inning stint. He's in the 5th now.
One strike on Strawberry. He rips it, 1 hopper. Oquendo makes the play on to Guerrero. That's 2 away. Over to third goes Barry Lyons.
Let's hope Strawman is through for the night.
I hope so.
Ricky, just keep him hitting the ball in the infield. Got a strong chop. There's the other guy we got to worry about, Howard Johnson, in the late innings.
Mark Carry-On is bounced out twice to the left side. Runner at third, 2 outs. He takes a strike. Ricky Horton trying to get the last out in the 5th inning. Pops it out of play, 0-2. Horton, we mentioned, is from the New York City area. Hyde Park. Went to the University of Virginia. One of the certainly more intelligent, better educated ball players you're ever going to find is Ricky Horton. Nothing. Cards lead, 5th inning.
Way out in front on carry-on, and he's really had him off balance, off stride as a hitter.
One and two. Two. Is the 3rd out, and through 5 in game 2, 3-0 St. Louis. Something very special coming up for you youngsters. You're going to get a terrific chance to show your Cardinal spirit in September down the pennant stretch. You'll be able to if you come to the ballpark for First Nationwide Bank Folder Day. It's coming up September 3rd. That's a Sunday afternoon game. And all of you youngsters paying your way in 15 and under are going to receive a set of 3 Cardinal folders. These folders will certainly be handy for going to and from school. Hope you'll be with us 1:15 Sunday, September 3rd. Pick up your Cardinal folders. Compliments of First Nationwide Bank. Fine play, Al, by Ozzie Smith, and of course what made it so crucial was the fact that Lyons was at 3rd.
Exactly right. He went opposite, and you see him set and get over the top. And really a strong throw, and Ozzie's shoulder problems are hopefully a thing of the past. But he's been throwing much better this year, Kenny.
The Mets bring on a new pitcher after Sid Fernandez goes 5. It is former Blue Jay Jeff Musselman.
Well, Musselman, this is only his 4th game, and you see in his 3 previous, he's got a decision in each, winning 1, losing 2. Only 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 walks, 1 strikeout. He's allowed 2 runs, 1 of which was earned.
Here is Pendleton leading off, strike 1, and Darryl Strawberry stays in the game in right field, hitting 9th where he pinch hit. If you're keeping score with us, put Jeff Musselman in the leadoff spot for the Mets.
Didn't get our wish, did we?
No. Our suspicions were well founded. 3-0. The Cards lead it here in the 6th inning. They lost the opening game to the Mets 5-1. Ron Darling went all the way for the victory.
Trying to think. I don't think we got a look at Musselman in the series at Busch Stadium.
Tuffle has got to hurry. He gets Pendleton 1 down.
Second baseman, Jose Ochendo.
Musselman basically is a breaking ball pitcher. Left-handed, you know, is a valuable commodity. Oh, his 1 victory did come against him, or he lost. Yeah.
Remember that now. Cardinals beat them at Thursday game, August the 3rd. So that would have been about a week ago today, probably.
Boy, remember that was the game following the big 11-0 rout that Fernandez started. Tough loss.
Here is Samuel. And Ochendo is gone. First time that Jose has been retired in this game. That game, the wrap-up game of that 4-game
Center
series.
fielder, Milt Thompson.
Quisenberry pitched and got 1 fella out. Got the win. Daly got the save. The Cardinals were down 4-2. Got 3 runs in the 3rd. And then each team scored in the 6th inning. The Card bullpen held on. That's the game that Tom Pagnazzi had the big hit. 1 strike on Thompson, who broke the scoreless battle here in this game in the 4th inning. He came up with 2 outs and 2 on and singled in Terry Pendleton. Then last inning with 1 out, Coleman tripled, and with 2 down, Guerrero belted a homer to left center. And that's how the Cards have done their scoring in this game. 2 strikes on Thompson.
Well, and I see Guerrero start providing the long ball. Not a better time for Pete to get healthy and hot.
1-2. One ball, 2 strikes. In Ricky Horton and Jeff Musselman, I'm not going to say you have 2 bookworms, but let me tell you that these 2 fellas are intelligent. We mentioned that Horton is a product of the University of Virginia, which is a fairly substantial school of intellect. Musselman on the mound is a graduate of Harvard. So these 2 fellas can probably not only pitch, but talk about a few other things. And it's 3-2 on Thompson. Of course, we had the Yale product, Darwin, in the first game.
What has this game gotten to?
I don't know. It used to be great when you were pitching. I mean, come on, these guys are spoiling it. Used to be trains and mustaches and antics. Now it's all economics, right? And college educations. Not always, but it's kind of fun.
The catcher, Tony
A
Pena.
walk to Thompson. I can't, as a matter of fact, ever remember being involved in a game, either watching it or broadcasting it, where I was talking about a Harvard grad. Believe me.
Well, there's been a couple that have been in the league.
Oh, yeah.
But why is it they're always pitchers? Quit blushing.
I can't hear that well. You're talking to me? Tony Pena is 0 for 2. Cards lead 3-0 in the 6th inning.
What college did you flunk out of?
I don't want to embarrass the school.
At least you qualified to get in one.
Oh, my. 1-0. I am of the belief, by the way, that many of these well-known institutions are easily overrated, so I'm not trying to be stuffy by mentioning Virginia and Harvard. There's a broken bat single for Pena. Thompson darting to third base. The cutoff throw misses the cutoff man, but Pena will hold it first, and the Cards coming again, Al, with 2 outs here in the 6th inning.
Now, Darryl Strawberry possesses a cannon, but you will find teams run on him. Inside out stroke, he goes into right field. He just very casually comes into it, and that's what allows the base runner, Thompson, to go from first to third. Now he'll show his cannon, and what he did is he misses the cutoff man, but it still was low enough, even with Elster jumping and not being able to pull it down, but it was low enough to keep Pena from trying to advance.
Ricky Horton has a hit, an infield single. He's also flied out. 2 on, 2 outs. Ground ball to Test Elster. Over to Tuckle, and this game will go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Cards on top, 3-0. Ah, the big city, the city by the bay, New York, Jamaica Bay. This program authorized under television rights granted by the St. Louis National Baseball Club Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the St. Louis National Baseball Club Incorporated is prohibited. New York, they even have the skyline on the scoreboard here.
Oh, they're called the Metropolitans.
You know something? I always thought it was the Metropolitans, too, until I realized that it's not. I always, once in a while, I'd even mention that. And there's been a write-up the last few years about the fact that it's just plain old Mets, no Metropolitans. And I always thought that from when I was a wee baby when they first came into existence. Juan Samuel leads off the 6th inning and takes ball 1. The Cards keep the bullpen busy. Horton has gotten a lot of outs tonight on ground balls from New York hitters. There's another one, and this one gets by Ozzie. Samuel has a hit, and he is 2 for 3.
Well, just like the last time, he hit a ground ball that Ozzie dives for and got underneath the glove. This one right underneath the glove, but it was hit so sharply. Pierce headed to center field. Ozzie comes in, just catches a little bit of it to hold Samuel to a single. You know, Kenny, the point you were making about Horton getting all the ground balls is a very good indication that he is recapturing his sinker, not throwing as hard as he was, getting the movement back on his pitches.
He faces Keith Hernandez. Keith is single, grounded into a double play. Ball 1.
And it's perfect candidate. Keith is for another double play right now. Still laboring. Having a little trouble making the corners. He can run straight ahead, but that was the reason why he has not been able to make the everyday lineup until tonight.
Samuel gets back. He is stolen 25. In this spot in the 3rd inning, Hernandez did hit into the double play right after Samuel's infield hit. 3-0 Cardinals after losing game 1 5-1. 1-1. Tomorrow night, Scott Terry against Frank Viola. We'll be along at 6:30. Saturday night, Ted Power and David Cohn will be along Saturday night a half hour earlier at 6 o'clock. Sunday, Ken Hill and Bob Ojeda. That game 12:30 Central Daylight Time. That hits Hernandez. It'll push Samuel to second base. And we'll pause 15 seconds for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals television network.
You're watching your station for Cardinals baseball, KLJB TV Davenport.
Whitey comes to the mound, says to Rick Horton, "Pal, you did a great job. Thanks a lot. And we'll save it for you now."
And John Costello will come in, but tried to get a little more out of Ricky Horton. He's done a good job to this point and should build his confidence and his teammates.
Boy, you couldn't have asked for much more than Whitey got from Rick Horton. He goes 5+ innings. Doesn't allow a run to this point, and 6 hits. Doesn't walk anyone, doesn't strike out anyone. We're going to take a local break and then return to Shea, where the Cards are trying to gain a split in this doubleheader.
It's the most unique riverfront event in America.
The Great River Tug, August 12th in Port Byron and LeClaire, sponsored by KLJB TV.
Start the day with breakfast and children's games. At 1, Iowa and Illinois teams compete against each other in a rope tug across the mighty Mississippi.
Come on down and cheer on your favorite teams.
Then stick around for the lighted boat parade and a street dance.
And Friday night, August 11th, KLJB TV presents a fireworks display you'll never forget.
The Great River Tug and KLJB TV's fireworks.
Part of our summer of family fun.
Meet a boy with the powers of his comic book heroes. Take a trip to the new Twilight Zone. Watch aliens fight man in a continuing War of the Worlds. Explore the dark world of dreams with Freddy Krueger. Experience the chills of a thriller theater feature. Catch the crazy local comedy of Live on Tape. Enter the sinister world of legends and curses on Friday the 13th, the series. Sci-fi Saturday nights from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. every Saturday on KLJB. It's not for the weak of heart.
Milt Thompson has driven in a run. Pedro Guerrero has hit a 2-run homer, and now one of the New York City area products, John Costello, comes on.
Well, let's hope Johnny proves us right. He's pitched well, particularly at Busch Stadium, but he has the 1-1 record, a good ERA, 1 save, and you can see he is a strikeout pitcher also. But John Costello is a fly ball pitcher, a contrast from what we saw from Ricky Horton, and he is a very hyper, loves to get on the mound and perform, and particularly in front of his family and friends here at Shea Stadium.
He comes on with a pair of Mets on base and nobody out. For the Cardinals with the lead. The Mets, we mentioned, have been very hot. They come into this game having won 3 in a row, 6 of 7 and 8 of their last 10. And of course, this doubleheader beginning a 14-game homestand for them. This is a big time of the year for New York. Now, Ricky Horton has to feel very pleased with the way he performed tonight. What a shot in the arm he's given the Cardinals.
And he really needed a shot in his arm to build his confidence. He should have that. It can only be the winner. It cannot be the loser.
Kevin McReynolds digs in. He is 0 for 2. Hit a home run in the first game. He's about as hot a hitter as the Mets have.
It's going to be an interesting 3 batters for Costello because a lot of them are high ball hitters, high fastball hitters, and that's what Costello's best pitch is.
Ball 1. To give you an idea about McReynolds and how hot he's been, in the last 7 games, he's hit 4 homers and driven in 11 runs.
Now, I just talked about how hyper like Costello is. After that first pitch where he overthrew the ball, Tony immediately went out and talked to him and said, come on now, give me good strikes. Stay within yourself.
Probably like to take him out in the parking lot, let him throw for a couple of minutes and walk him back in and say, hey, now you're ready. But you can get excited. It's understandable. 50,436 ranting and raving baseball fans here at Shea for this doubleheader. 48,712 paid. And Costello in the middle of the diamond trying to calm down and relax. There he gets it in there. It's 1-1 on McReynolds. On deck is Tuffle, but he's now been called back, and Howard Johnson has moved into the on-deck circle.
Well, Davey's going with his guns, but he's got the, he's got the time and possibly could be the winning run on base when he comes to the plate.
1-2.
You see Costello throwing the fastball right by McReynolds. Costello has a riding fastball, a little hop on it, very deceptive because it's not of a high velocity.
On a play, a ball and 2 strikes. Well, you can understand Costello with that personality of being very aggressive and eager and jumpy to a degree, but you can imagine all the friends and family here watching him tonight.
Well, I think it works to his advantage.
I'm sure it does, too, as long as he can have enough control to get some strikes. 2 on, nobody out. 6th inning. And the count on Kevin McReynolds is 1-2. Remember the first game that he ever pitched?
Sure do, in Philadelphia.
June 2nd, 1988. Won against the Phillies. I don't even think his feet touched the rubber in that game.
Whitey's always been impressed with him. He says, I don't know how he does it. He does it with mirrors, but the bottom line is John Costello gets people out.
2-2 make the count. Deep one.
Well, the Mets lead the National League in home runs, and you see Costello gets this ball down a little bit, right where McReynolds. He has his best hop and movement on his pitches when it's up in the strike zone, but that was right in McReynolds' wheelhouse, and after seeing so many fastballs, he had it timed.
Kevin McReynolds in the last 8 games, 5 homers and 14 RBIs. It's tied 3-3. And Tuffle takes a strike.
Bill Robinson is the first base coach and also the hitting instructor. And you see him, a little animation, a little reaction too. But Kevin McReynolds is still you don't see much from him. Now, after seeing all those fastballs, Costello's throwing more breaking balls.
1-1. Costello, and Whitey knows it, rarely gives up home runs.
It's only the second.
Only the second this year, and he didn't give up many last year. In fact, that's only 4 in his big league career.
Well, Ricky Still pitched a very good ball game. We're just back to square one. Tie game.
2-2. Costello now in the big leagues has pitched 86 innings, allowing just those 4 home runs prior to this one, and this one really stings. Three in the 6th inning. A long run in and to the line for Brunansky and into foul territory for the first out in the 6th inning. And you could see Rick Horton sitting near Whitey Herzog. And of course the 3-run home run takes a victory right away from the left-hander.
By the way Ricky was battered about this season, he was happy with the 5 innings. Of course, 2 of the runs will be charged to Ricky. So he's 5 innings plus 2 runs, both of them earned, 6 hits, no walks, no strikeouts.
Now Greg Jefferies, strike 1. Jefferies had a fabulous 88, as we talked about earlier. When the season was over, he said, I was very successful, but I had a terrible swing all season. So he worked on it all winter. One of the main things he did this past winter at home in California was practice his swing by hitting volleyballs all winter. He came to spring training, he said, I've got my great swing now. And of course he hadn't hit a lick with his great swing.
Well, remember too, he had the bad swing and he hit well. In spring training he didn't hit a lick, and he said, hey, I'm swinging good, and he still contends that he is.
He's still swinging well, but maybe you'll want to go back to that bad swing of 1988. 1-2. Still a ball, 2 strikes. He's very intense, hard worker. There've been a lot of stories about how at home he trained by swinging a sawed-off bat in his swimming pool, hitting colored and numbered tennis balls and calling out the number on each ball with each swing as they'd be thrown to him. 2-2. Three, 6th inning. Mets won the first game 5-1. There's a base hit for Jefferies.
The catcher, Gary Lyons.
Well, the first hit for Jefferies, that's a fastball and just pounds it in the ground, but it finds a hole between first and second.
Catcher Barry Lyons is 2 for 2. Boy, those home runs, huh? The Mets with 107 homers leading the league. McReynolds lead-off homer in the 2nd inning of the first game got the Mets rolling. His 3-run homer here in the 6th inning tying it. Of course, Guerrero has hit a 2-run homer in this game for the Cardinals. We got a run on a Thompson single in the 4th, and then 2 more last inning on Guerrero's 11th homer of the year. But the Mets have gotten the runs back. Cards look for 2. 1 strike on Lyons.
Frank DePino is up and throwing in the Cardinals bullpen.
Jefferies at first with 1 out. Costello coming on here in the inning after Samuel and Hernandez got on with an infield single and a hit batter. Gives up the homer to McReynolds. Now Jefferies is going. The pitch is a strike, and the throw trickles through, and Jefferies will not be able to advance. It'll be a stolen base for Greg Jefferies.
Jefferies is a real hustling ball player when he does reach base, can steal a base. Tony throws the ball in the dirt. Oquendo come up on it. Should have kept the ball right there. Should have blocked it, not allowed it to go into center field. But Jefferies, you see, sliding head first and his head down, did not realize that the throw got into center field.
That's his 12th stolen base. Potential tie-breaking run in scoring position with 1 out. 2 strikes on Lyons. Elster on deck. One and 2. Man, these Mets are tough here. The last 31 games at home, they've gone 23-8. This crowd doesn't hurt them any either, does it?
Well, 20 RBIs now for Barry Lyons, and just continues to hammer Cardinals pitching. Of course, now you find out a little bit about the mental makeup of a pitcher out there when you start having a rough outing. Lyons goes down, gets the ball, and drives it into left field corner. Jefferies comes around to score. The go-ahead run is now 4-3 Mets. He just trades places.
Kevin Elster 1 for 2. The Mets 4 runs, 9 hits. The Cardinals 3 runs, 7 hits. Cards have stranded half a dozen. The Mets have left 4. They have Lyons on at second and 1 out. And this crowd of over 50,000 has been into this activity all night long. Well, they're really hopped up now. They're thinking sweep. 1-1.
Well, it's just amazing after the home run by McReynolds how down the Cardinals. They're flat. They battled, got the 3-0 lead. But it was not late enough in the game for us to go to our aces in the bullpen. And the momentum has definitely shifted to the Mets.
Strawberry is on deck. He's batting in the number 9 spot. DePino out in the pen is very ready. 1-2. There's an example of that high, hard fastball from Costello that he's noted for, that the right-handed hitters can't get around on.
Yeah, it really seems that if the ball is up high in the strike zone, it has good movement. And they pop it up or they swing through it. But when it's down, they get a good rip at it. It straightens out, flattens out.
Breaking pitch. Oquendo misplays it. Fooled by it. To third goes Lyons. Safe at first with a hit is Elster. And this is really becoming a tough inning for the Cardinals. It just looked now that Oquendo was totally fooled by that line drive. He had a lot of time, but really didn't know it.
Well, it broke the bat, of Al Hrabosky, so Kendo really kind of came in or was a little bit flat-footed, and then he tried to go up instead of his first reaction going back. Now Whitey's going to make a pitching change. A tough inning for Costello, but maybe Frankie can salvage it. They're just down by 1.
Costello goes a third of an inning. Gives up 4 hits. To this point, 2 runs. So coming home is not pleasant tonight for John Costello. And Frank DiPino will come in from the left field bullpen. With the Cardinals trailing 4-3 here in the second game. The Mets won the first game 5-1. We'll take a local break, and then we'll return to New York. Earlier in this New York 6th inning, Ricky Horton left the mound with a 3-0 lead. John Costello came in looking for outs, and he found the bats of the New York hitters, especially the first man he faced, Kevin McReynolds, who hit a 3-run homer to tie it.
Now, Kenny, you come into a ball game, the one thing you want to do is protect the man in front of you. So you see Costello feeling very badly that he gave up the 2 runs that were left on by Horton and then surrendered a chance for a Ricky Horton victory. But John Costello is a young man that'll bounce back from this, and if you pitch long enough, you're going to have bad games.
Strawberry is going to be the hitter. DiPino is the third Cards pitcher.
Well, Frankie will come in this game. He's 5-0. That's a career high in victories. Good ERA, but the best thing about Frankie is the fact that opposing left-handed batters are hitting only .213, and he continues to retire the first batter faced. He has done so in 37 of 45 appearances.
Strawberry pinch hit last inning, grounded out, stayed in the game in right field. 4-3, Mets lead. They've done all their scoring here in the 6th inning. Lyons at third, Elster is at first. The key inning of the opening game was the second inning. The Mets batted around and scored 3. Here in this inning, in which they've scored 4, DiPino is facing the 8th hitter in Strawberry. And time called at the plate.
Now the big key, if Frankie can get this man out, Musselman, the pitcher, is the on-deck hitter. They do have a pitcher warming in the pen, so they could elect to go to a pitching change. Set up a pinch hitter.
2 strikes.
Like Don Ossie is in the Mets bullpen. There's Big Don. He had probably his finest game of the season, opening day against the Cardinals, picking up a save.
Strawberry this year, 25 homers, 61 RBIs.
Just beginning to get hot.
Two strikes. He's right up there behind Kevin Mitchell, who has 36. And then Glenn Davis and his teammate Howard Johnson at 27. Milwaukee has won at Cleveland 10-3. First place Baltimore is idle. Milwaukee moves to within 3.5. of the Orioles, and they're still in 5th place in the American League East, 3.5 back. Out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Darryl Strawberry. No joy on that side, and certainly no overjoy on that side. One and two. 2 and 2. Of course, Strawberry facing a left-hander, which he doesn't always have to do. Led the league with 39 homers last season. He also hit 39 the year before. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. When it comes to home runs, you definitely think of Strawberry. Last year, he averaged 7 home runs for every 100 at bats. That was best in either league.
Kenny, just when he first came up to the major leagues, any ball that was spinning and any left-hander sent him back to the dugout. But he is a much improved hitter against left-handers. When he gets those arms extended, he can hit the ball a long way. You really want to tie him up and in. The good hard stuff or the good breaking balls off the plate, down and away in the dirt.
For Strawberry, this is his 7th major league season, and he's had 25 or more homers each year. Look at that. Breaks his back. Ryan scores. Elster to third. They're going to stop him, and it's a double for Strawberry. And Darryl has RBI number 62. And the Mets will bat around here in the 6th inning. They lead it 5-3.
Well, nothing you can really do with this. Just the luck is in their favor. He fooled on the pitch, hits it right off the end of the bat, breaks the bat, and it just plunks into the left field. No way to defense it. You just have to foul it. It's just a lucky base hit.
Now, Whitey wanting to know if the pinch hitter Gary Carter has been announced. He has been. And Whitey is going to go to the bullpen.
Quisenberry.
Dan Quisenberry, who got the final out in the first game after coming in to face Carter and allowing an RBI single. A matchup we saw in game 1 we're going to see again as DePino will depart for Quisenberry. The Mets won the first game 5-1. They lead here in game 2 5-3. More baseball coming up after this local break.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Now pitching for the Cardinals and batting ninth, number 40.
With Al Hrabosky, Ken Wilson, Shea Stadium, New York, game 2 of a doubleheader. The Mets lead the Cardinals 5-3. The 4th pitcher of the game for the Cards is Dan Quisenberry.
And the 4th employed in this inning. But we got to bear in mind there's only a 2-run deficit, so Quiz has to come on and do a very capable job here. He is 3-1 this year, 5-1 over his career as a Cardinal. Let's restore some order right here. There's only 1 out.
He's going to face Carter, who had a single in the first game against Quiz.
He has 5 consecutive base hits. Yesterday he went 4 for 4 in Philadelphia. Pitch hit against Quiz and hit a double on RBI. So let's derail the kid. Mr. Wilson, I don't think we want to go back on the bus tonight.
I think the best part of this doubleheader is yet to come.
All right, that's the attitude. You know, that's what you have to remember. You know, it's just down by 2 early in the ball game. We talked about their bullpen as a little suspect. Come on, Quiz.
2 veterans, Quisenberry and Carter. Carter batting for the pitcher, Jeff Musselman, in the #1 spot in the order. Don Ossie had been warming up. He undoubtedly will be the new pitcher in the 7th inning. Mets at 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Strike 1.
On the first game, off of Quisenberry, Carter hit a sinker that stayed up, didn't have much movement.
A ball and a strike on Carter, who is in his 5th year with the Mets after a fine career with Montreal. He's 35 now. He's the 9th Met to bat here in the 6th inning. Game 2. 2-1. Juan Samuel will bat next.
Now with this situation with runners at 2nd and 3rd, not exactly the ideal situation for Quisenberry, who is a ground ball pitcher. Ground ball here could mean another run.
The infield halfway. 2-2. Of course, Quiz is not exactly a strikeout pitcher either, and you wouldn't mind one right here.
Yeah, that's what you really would prefer, the strikeout, but that's asking a lot for Quiz. Of course, he is actually, I think he has a much better strikeout ratio this season and in the National League than he ever had in the American League.
3-2, and he doesn't walk many.
No, it doesn't walk any, so Gary's going to get a pitch to rip at.
Maybe he'll pop it up.
Of course, you know, Whitey might have told him, it's the old adage, don't give him anything to hit, but don't walk him either. Samuel's a tough guy to double up on deck, though.
5-3 New York. 6th inning. They've done all their scoring in this frame. Center field. Elster will tag. So will Strawberry. Elster will score. The throw as is Strawberry headed to 3rd. Strawberry in. Elster scores. 6-3 New York. Carter comes through again, and he is returning to the good graces of the New York fans.
Center fielder, Juan Samuel.
Well, Quiz has to keep Strawberry stranded. Now they're 2 out.
6-3 New York. They won the first game 5-1. And Juan Samuel, who began this inning with an infield hit off Ricky Horton, will step in. He's 2 for 3.
Well, you look back and Ricky Horton, when he hit Hernandez, how big that was.
That's a foul ball. 1 strike. The inning began with a Samuel infield hit up the middle off the glove of Ozzie. Then he hit Hernandez. Whitey went to the pen, brought in John Costello. Kevin McReynolds, the hottest bat on the Mets team, hitting a lot of home runs lately, hit a 3-run homer. It's been all downhill since. One and 1. 6 runs, 6 hits in the 6th inning for New York. Strawberry at 3rd, 2 away. Two and 1. The Mets tonight in 15 innings have scored in 3. That's it. 3 in the 2nd inning of the first game, 2 in the 8th of the first game, and now a half dozen here. This ball will go foul.
Pena coming out to talk to Quisenberry. Well, we got to get some life. We got to get back into the dugout. A little pep talk with the offense. Just see the fielders hanging their heads and over this long 6th inning.
McReynolds, the 3 RBIs, also runs batted in for Lyons, Strawberry, and Carter in this inning. 6-3 New York. 2 down, 2-2 on Samuel. Still 2-2. Reynolds and Jeffries, and 28-year-old Juan Samuel from the Dominican Republic. Having an off year. He's a good ball player. 3-2.
An off year at 259, 11 home runs and 34 RBIs and 25 stolen bases.
He came up in '84. That was the same year Gooden arrived on the scene. Samuel was second to Gooden in the Rookie of the Year race that season.
Set a rookie stolen base record, which Coleman broke.
Squibber, and it's a liner caught by Guerrero. 10 Mets come to the plate. And the Mets score 6 runs on 6 hits. They lead it 6-3. Our Busch Beer game summary. Going to the 7th inning, Ricky Horton's look tells the story. The Mets, with a 6-run 6th inning, lead at 6-3. But what an outing for Rick Horton. What a great outing. Doesn't mean much if you don't win. This game summary brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Now pitching for the Mets.
New pitcher for New York.
Number 49.
And it's the veteran right-hander, Don Ossie.
Now, Ossie saved ball game opening day here at Shea Stadium. That's the only save he's acquired. He's 1-3. This guy was a phenomenal relief pitcher in his American League career, come bouncing back from some severe arm injuries. Went to the same high school as Greg Matthews, former Cardinal Rick Omby, myself.
Future Old Timers League left-hander Al Hrabosky.
If we get this game over.
Coleman leading off in the 7th inning. Maybe we can get a big inning of our own. Lyons, as you would expect, giving it his all. The only thing he lacked there was a dugout to slide into.
Now Barry Lyons was the one that ran full speed into John Tudor in the Cardinal dugout. Here you see why he's balled on top. Running, almost getting hit, and then sliding into the pad, rubbing the hair off the top of the head.
I mentioned Detroit playing at Texas. Through 5 innings with the Rangers up 1-0. Nolan Ryan has a no-hitter. But no-hitters for Nolan Ryan through 5 innings are like candy at the dime store. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan, by the way, in that game, fanned the Tigers catcher Matt Noakes in the 2nd inning for his 200th strikeout of the season, extending his major league record to 13 seasons of 200-plus strikeouts.
Started that game, Kenny, only 27 strikeouts away from 5,000 in his career.
And tonight, in the first game of the doubleheader, Jose De Leon struck out 8 and went over 1,000 in his career, and he's been a strikeout pitcher. Of course, he's not 42 years old either. But then he isn't Nolan Ryan either. Coleman a triple in 3 at-bats. Jeffries steals a hit. And that's the way this one has been going. 1 out.
Well, it's everything Mets right now. The momentum has really shifted. Watch Jeffries. The line drive off the bat of Coleman, and Jeffries actually catches the ball behind him. That ball was hit like such a rocket. Reached up and pulled it back from way behind his head.
1 strike on Ozzie Smith. Oz in the doubleheader is 1 for 7. Coleman in the doubleheader is 1 for 9. That gives you some idea that there hasn't been enough offense. Ozzie drove in the only run for the Cards in the first game. He's struggling. Last 40 at bats, 4 hits, 4 for his last 40.
I think part of that, Kenny, is the fact that these guys are having to play every single day.
That's the point we made at the start of this game. Whitey's starting the same 8 in game 2 as he did in game 1. And Pena was really the only one who got a rest in game 1 as he was pinch hit for in the 6th inning.
You know, Whitey doesn't want to do it, but season boiling down right here, the most important weekend.
1 and 2.
You can't rest, and of course his players don't want to be rested when you're in the middle of a race.
After this doubleheader, 3 more games here in New York. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. All of them on television. Which reminds us to send a big hello down to Florida to Fort Myers. And all the folks watching on WBR-TV Channel 7 in Fort Myers. Tim Tuffle. Keith Hernandez, 2 away.
Guerrero got a pair of hits in the first game, didn't he? He didn't? Oh, 2.
First baseman, Pedro Guerrero.
Guerrero.
Yeah, he had 2.
Okay, so he's got a 10-game hitting streak now.
That's right.
We forgot to mention that.
With the home run. Ball 1 on Pete.
My detecting your ears are a little numb after all these airplanes flying by.
How many weeks have we been? Are the airplanes? I don't even know if the airplanes are still flying over. I got numb. 50,000 people in airplanes. I haven't even heard you half of the game. There's so much noise here. There's one coming in. Are they still going out?
No, they haven't been for a while.
Yeah, they changed the pattern, or I guess we're getting late enough that the rush hour is over at nearby LaGuardia.
Well, we had to fly into Newark, New Jersey last night because LaGuardia closes down in the summertime. They close the runways between 12 and 4 a.m. for resurfacing.
LaGuardia is so old, I'd hate to know how many levels of surface are on those runways. That must have been one of the first airports in the country. 2 and 2.
Well, Pete didn't like the call from home plate umpire Bill Hahn, but, you know, this is about the first objection we've had all night, isn't it? Pete, you can't afford to get thrown out of this game now. We need your bat.
Guerrero struck out twice against Sid Fernandez, then hit a 2-run homer in the 5th to give the Cards a 3-0 lead. That was Fernandez last inning. Still 2 and 2. Fernandez went 5, gave up the 3 runs on 6 hits. Musselman went 1 inning, no runs, 1 hit, and Ossie is in his first inning of work. He's retired Coleman and Smith. Mets won the opener 5-1. They lead in this game 6-3.
Trying to get in on it.
Cards go in order. 7th inning stretch time in New York, and the Mets are up by 3. Fans, time's running out for you to get your copy of the '89 Cardinals yearbook. This year's 72-page book is loaded with great photos, color photos, terrific stories. Hope you'll pick up your copy at the ballpark. If not, well, it's available for $6, including postage and handling through the mail. Send $6 to the St. Louis Cardinals, 250 Stadium Plaza, St. Louis 63102, and they'll get your '89 Cardinal yearbook in the mail to you right away. Seventh inning, Keith Hernandez against Dan Quisenberry, 1 strike. Hernandez is singled, hit into a double play, and last inning was hit by a pitch just prior to Kevin McReynolds' 3-run homer that tied it. The Mets went on to get 3 more. 1-1. And 2. The Cards on the road, 1 game over 500. Foul, 1-2. The Cards, by the way, are playing 16 of their next 22 on the road, while the Mets are just beginning a 14-game homestand tonight. The other thing that's bad about the Mets homestand, Al, is they've got the Dodgers and Padres coming in. Let's hope the Padres will still be hot when they get here, and the Giants. But if the Mets were to have a good series against the Cardinals, and then they've got a shot at probably winning quite a few games against those 3 West Coast teams, they could really make a move. Foul again, 1-2. Hernandez tonight in this game, making his first start since the 18th of July, and it's now 2-2.
Kenny, while the Mets are playing the West Coast clubs, we're playing clubs that we have trouble with in the West, Cincinnati and Houston.
No doubt about it. Full count on Hernandez. The Cardinals 1-10 combined against Cincinnati and Houston. That's a nice thought at this time. Hernandez walks to lead off the 7th inning. I think we're going to have a lot better success against Cincinnati than we did earlier.
Oh, standing ovation for McReynolds. 3-run home run to tie this game. He hit a home run in the first game to get the Mets on the scoreboard.
Ball 1. 14 homers, 61 RBIs now for Kevin McReynolds.
Can you go back and look what his stats were when they came into Busch Stadium?
Not as good as they are now. Hernandez goes to second. A single for McReynolds.
Now McReynolds, who had a banner year last year, but really was hitting softly for the Mets this season. But he is on a tear with the home runs, the RBIs, and just base hits, lifting his average.
It's amazing when you look at McReynolds. When the Cards saw the Mets come to Busch on the 1st of August, McReynolds had 9 homers, 47 RBIs. That was 10 days ago. So he's gone from 9 homers to 14, from 47 RBIs to 61 in 10 days.
15 RBIs.
It's pretty good production.
5 home runs, 15 RBIs, and how about the average?
Well, he was hitting 275 coming into the 1st of August.
About 285 now, 284.
Yeah, well, he was 281 coming into this game, and he's 2 for 4, so he's right up close to the mid 280s.
Carter's coming back. Hernandez coming back.
Gooden could be back soon. I don't think they're hurting even without him.
We'll see Viola make his New York Mets home debut tomorrow night.
Tuffle bunts. It'll go foul. Runners at first and second with nobody out here in the 7th. The Mets are already leading 6-3. They won the first game 5-1. In summary, the news is not good for New York. Davey Johnson has really had a great run here with the Mets, hasn't he?
Think he'll get to 95 this year? Isn't that what it is? Every year he's had at least 95 wins.
Yeah. Cards expect the bunt, and Tuffle swings away 0-2. The Mets have averaged 98 wins per season since 1984. That's when he came here. And of course, this year, before this sellout crowd tonight, looking for a sweep tonight, and on the season trying to win it again and trying to become the first division champ to repeat in the National League since '78. 1-2. They won 100 games last year. It would seem it would be impossible to do it this year. I don't think the Cards nor the Mets can get to 94 or 95 wins. It wouldn't seem they could. But if you can roll off one of those 10-game winning streaks, it becomes more possible. 2-2.
Win 10, lose 1, and start another 10-game streak.
The Mets in the opening game had 7 hits. That was it. But they have a dozen safeties in this one. And it's only the 7th inning. A little foul fly that'll reach the crowd. 2-2 on Tuffle. Tuffle is a product of Connecticut. You don't see that many big leaguers out of Connecticut. Went to Clemson. He was a college All-American there in 1980. And it was a very high draft pick in '80 by the Twins. At second, Hernandez. McReynolds at first. Cards look for the double play. Behind Dan Quisenberry. Count is full. If you joined us late, Horton started, pitched exceptionally well, had a shutout going into the 6th inning. But that's when the Mets sent 10 to the plate and scored half a dozen. 3-2. The runners are going with nobody out, and they'll do it again.
Well, you can really do that against Quisenberry because of his sidearm delivery. It's not a strikeout pitcher. He is a double play pitcher. You know, Quiz, you know, he rarely walks anyone. He walked Hernandez to start this inning, and normally doesn't go this deep into a count. Confab on the mound gets certain things straight.
Ken Wilson, Al Hrabosky, Shea Stadium, New York. Game 2 of a doubleheader. Quisenberry is the 4th Cards pitcher in this game. Cards led through 5, 3-0, but they trail in the 7th, 6-3, and the Mets with nobody out and 2 on, 3 and 2 running, a strikeout and a double play. Hernandez gunned down as Tuffle strikes out McReynolds is safe at second base.
Well, that's why you send the runners, because normally batters do not strike out. But in this case, they do, and Hernandez is a dead duck. No chance at all. Pitch inside. Now Tony just tries to make sure he gets a strike down to Pendleton.
If you're just joining us, in the first game, the Mets won 5-1. Ron Darling went all the way for his 10th win. Jose De Leon was the loser. They're going to walk Jefferies here to put runners at first and second with 2 outs and let Quiz pitch to the right-handed hitting Barry Lyons. That's not really as much of a gift to Quiz as you might imagine, because Lyons is 3 for 3 tonight with an RBI. Let's pause here. 15 seconds for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals television network.
The catcher, Barry Lyons.
You're watching your station for Cardinals baseball, KLJB TV, Davenport.
(6-3) Mets. McReynolds at second, Jefferies at first, and here's Barry Lyons.
Kenny, you realize that Lyons in this season is 8 for 14 against Cardinal pitching?
I like to ignore it, but you're right. 1 strike.
And over his career, he has 17 hits and 40 plate appearances against the Cardinals, with 1 home run, 11 RBIs.
Nolan Ryan down in Arlington has a no-hitter through 6 innings against the Detroit Tigers, and the Rangers lead it 2-0. Little topper to Ozzie, and he gets him. On to the 8th. 6-3 New York.
Right fielder, Tom Bernanke.
Cards will be home now Monday night for 2 with Atlanta, then Tuesday and Wednesday night single games. It's Uniroyal night on Tuesday. See your local Uniroyal dealer for free tickets with purchase of tires. Wednesday, Ellisville Athletic Association night. For ticket information, contact Randy Phillips in Baldwin, Missouri. Don Ozzie goes into his 2nd inning, the 8th, facing Brunansky, Pendleton, and Oquendo. And he blows it by Brunansky, who in this game has struck out twice and flied to right. Tom is 1 for 7 in the doubleheader. Cards in this twin bill have had 14 hits in 16 innings and have scored 4 runs. The 1 run in the first game was unearned.
It's getting late. Got our work cut out for us.
Getting late in more ways than one. Kevin Elster to Keith Hernandez. That's 1 down. I thought that when we got the Mets starter out after 5 innings, we were getting into that thin New York bullpen. We didn't do much against Musselman. We haven't done anything against Ozzie.
Well, I think we would have been all right if we didn't surrender 6 runs, and that really just sank the morale of the Cardinals offense. But you got to pick it back up, guys.
Pendleton 1 for 3 in this game, 1 for 4 in the first game. One strike. After Pendleton, Oquendo. The highlight in this one for the Cards, a 2-run 5th inning Guerrero homer that gave him a 10-game hitting streak, his 11th homer of the year, and gave the Cards a 3-0 lead in the 5th inning. And Horton was breezing along, but it's all changed. The 6-run 6th inning that the Mets had that Al alluded to.
You just see the bat getting heavier in a lot of these Cardinals' hands.
2 strikes. I don't know how they do it, Al.
Oh, I mean, you know,
It's just
you just have to keep on asking for that inner strength. Reach down and muster up something. You know, they are amazing the way they'll fight back. And, you know, they're the only team in baseball that have had all 8 of their regulars, and I'm including Thompson in that have played 100 games or more. And most of them have started 100 games.
The good news is the injuries have been few. The bad news is these guys are exhausted.
And like Whitey says, I can't rest them now. I might be able to rest them after this weekend.
1-2 on Terry. If you missed it, Jim Lindemann returned to the team today from Louisville, where he hit well. And Leon Durham has been placed on the disabled list. Leon, by the way, has a bad leg. He injured it in the game last night in Pittsburgh when he pinch ran in the 9th inning for Guerrero. Was able to stay in the game defensively in the bottom of the 9th, but it's not bad enough to have in a cast, but he's on the disabled list.
Oh.
What are you laughing at, Al? Come on.
Oh.
We have to deliver this information straight.
So it's kind of like Lindemann's injury putting him on the disabled list.
Yeah, he was hurt badly. 1-2. This one will go out of play.
You know, by the way, Willie McGee has gone back to St. Louis. They don't have the equipment for him to rehabilitate himself here in New York, so he went back to St. Louis. We'll see Willie on Monday.
There is Jim Lindemann, proud new papa, and happy about his success at Louisville. Out of play again, a ball, 2 strikes. 1 out, 8th inning, nobody on. Cards trail the Mets 6-3 after losing the first game 5-1. Tomorrow night, Scott Terry against Frank Viola. We'll be with you at 6:30. Originally was with Boston. First came up back in 1977. Two and a fan makes a superb catch. Hey, in New York, he could have caught it in the teeth and they'd be applauding. It was out of our view. I only assumed it was a fine catch.
It was.
Was it? That's good. You could see it. Two on Pendleton. He rips it to right center. Strawberry will run it down off the wall, and Pendleton has a double. Way to go, Terry. Well, he had 1 hit in the first game and 2 here in the second.
That is good for Terry, because, you know, the first couple pitches that time up, he was just overmatched, but he kept on getting fastballs, foul him off, getting a piece of one. Now this one was down, one that he was able to drive and get himself in scoring position. You know, we still have to remember we're only down by 3 runs. We get another base hit here. Terry scores. Maybe Oquendo can switch positions with him, and we can exploit this Mets bullpen. They have Myers up now. That's their premier closer.
2 for 5 in the doubleheader is Oquendo. Third baseman Jefferies is shallow, and it's ball 1 on Jose. (6-3) Cards trail, 8th inning. Pendleton at second and 1 down. 2-0. Jose on the year with 35 RBIs. Former Met, of course, came up as a kid shortstop with New York.
Hrabosky still throws hard.
Strike.
That was good for O'Kinner, just taking all the way. That wasn't exactly his pitch. Down by 3. Make the pitcher come to him.
Thompson is on deck. 3-1. Boy, both Ossie and Lyons thought it was a strike. Bill Hone, the plate umpire, said no, it was low. High fly to right center. Strawberry says, I got it. He does. Pendleton tags, will just draw a throw. 2 away.
Center fielder, Milt Thompson.
Ossie throwing those high fastballs and getting the Cardinals to hit it in the air. And that'll kindle at least with a 3-1 count.
Here comes Davy Johnson, the skipper, out with a left-handed hitting Milt Thompson. He's got his left-hander in the bullpen, and he apparently is going to go to the pen.
And he's got Randy Myers out there, so he's not going to waste any time. He's going to try and close this game out here in the top of the 8th.
Don Ossie departs, going an inning and 2/3, allowing just the Pendleton double. And they'll go to Randy Myers, who did not pitch in the opening game as Darling went all the way. Mets won the first game 5-1. They lead here in the second game of the 8th inning, 6-3. We'll take a local break and then return to Shea.
Number 48, Randy Myers.
6-3, Mets lead it. They make some changes, including bringing in Randy Myers as they play Wild Thing in the background.
Well, you see his numbers on the year. He's won 6, lost 3, ERA of 1.79, 16 saves. He is a strikeout pitcher, 59 strikeouts in just over 60 innings, and very few hits for that ratio.
Well, last night in Pittsburgh, when Doug Bear came in, I gave you Fontella Bass and Rescue Me. Now they play Wild Thing tonight, and all you have to do is give me the group that sang the song. It's from your era, the Old Timers League era, as it's now known. Here's Milt Thompson. He's driven in a run with a single in this game after going 0 for 3 in the first game.
Try the Trobs.
Ah, you're good. You're impressive. I'm amazed that a kid from Southern California would know a song that wasn't from the Beach Boys.
Anything that's animalistic, I know.
They're going to be playing that for you come November down in Florida.
I've come up with a new pitch. I'll tell you later.
Pendleton at second, 2 down. That's a good fastball. 0-2 on Thompson.
Well, that's what Randy Myers has. So Milt can look at a steady diet of Express. Myers makes his pregame. You know, you look at his uniform in the locker room, he dressed out in jungle fatigues, lifts weights, and pretty much sets his personality. He didn't go to an Ivy League school either.
No. He's what we refer to as a Columbia River Basin product. Oh, pretty fancy, huh? Speaking of hard throwers, Nolan Ryan at Arlington tonight has a no-hitter going into the 8th inning against Detroit. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hey, Nolan has 5.
I believe 5, yeah.
And you know, that's the most ever thrown. And of course, this is some kind of an anniversary of Little League. And I believe if he throws a no-hitter this season, the Little League programs get a $100,000 bonus.
Nice pickup by Barry Lyons. Nolan Ryan is remarkable. His longevity now becoming a bigger story than his strikeouts and his no-hitters. He's come close, of course, in the last year or so to another no-hitter, and tonight he's working in the 8th with a no-hitter at Arlington Stadium, leading 2-0. That can't be any fun for Milt out there, Al. 3-2.
Well, they tell you to keep that front shoulder in. Don't give in. Don't concede anything. So you see him step right back towards the pitcher. And then it's the little chin music. Is up and in. And, of course, he falls backward after it's by him.
Well, that's a big hit, and I like that hit. Here comes Pendleton to score. Thompson going to second, and he's in with a double. Way to go, Milt. 2 hits, 2 RBIs in this game, and the Cards here in the 8th inning, clawing their way back, are now down 6-4. You know, that hit is just, he just gets 3 hits on his batting average for that. That was a tough at bat.
Well, it's just that you have a outstanding pitcher on the mound, and Milt, remember we talked about keeping that in there. So he kept his front shoulder in there. So all of a sudden he hits the ball left field. He challenges McReynolds, aggressive base running, and you like to see that. Exchange positions, get himself in the scoring position for Pena, and this game's getting a little closer.
Tony in the doubleheader, 1 for 5, has 28 RBIs this year. Another big spot here. We need another run.
Jim Lindeman is on deck. You know, you're right, Kenny. We need to crack the barrier. We need to get this score tied up. Myers, remember last year, it seemed like the last game of the season or close to it, he came in a ball game and was having a tremendous year and gave up back-to-back home runs to, was it Bernansky and Guerrero?
I believe so, yeah. They were getting ready for the playoffs at that time.
He was coming in sort of a game just to get a little work, and he got worked over.
Ooh, you turned a phrase. Be careful. 6-4. Cards trail, 8th inning. Thompson at second, 2 outs. And it's out of play, 1-2. Talking about Randy Myers, do I have to explain the Columbia River Basin?
You sure do.
I do, huh? Okay. I might be accused of insidious chatter. He is from Vancouver, Washington, which is just across the Columbia River from Portland, Oregon, which is an area in some degree of woodsmen and outdoorsmen, rough tumble kind of guys with plaid shirts and big boots and hunting hats and crazy wild personalities, and that's why we hung that tag on Mr. Myers.
Not like a Mr. Mom?
No, not exactly. And he's crazy to some degree. 2-2. Kevin Elster gets a nice Sunday hop, and that'll do it for the Cards, but they get a run back in the 8th inning on doubles by Pendleton and Thompson. And at Shea, it is 6-4 New York. Al and I hope you're planning to be with us for Busch Light Cap Night at the ballpark Friday, September 22nd. If you're one of the first 35,000 fans 21 and over with a paid admission, you'll receive a solid white cotton twill ball cap with a Cardinal Busch Light logo on the front. This giveaway is the last adult giveaway, so be sure to come on out early. 7:35 start. The Phillies will be in, and you'll receive a ball cap, all sponsored by Busch Light. 6-4. The Mets lead as they come up in the 8th inning against Dan Quisenberry. Kevin Elster will lead off. The Mets, by the way, we told you they made other changes, so we don't want you to think we're trying to deceive you. Howard Johnson went in at third base when Myers came in. The move of Johnson in the game sent Jeffries to play second base, and Tuffle left the game, and Myers was inserted in the 5th spot in the Mets order. And this is Elster in the 8th spot, Strawberry in the 9th spot on deck, and then Howard Johnson would be hitting third in the inning. Whoa! Guerrero. Snazzy play for the first out here in the 8th.
Well, Pete has been playing some defense lately. He's always had good hands, so now that he's a little more mobile, we're getting a chance to see more of the first baseman. Pete Guerrero, snaring that ball right off the ground and doing it himself.
Strawberry has grounded out and doubled in a run. He did not start this game. Came in as a pinch hitter back in the 5th inning. We'll keep you abreast on Nolan Ryan's progress. He's going into the 8th inning at home against Detroit with a no-hitter. 2 strikes.
Kenny, you saw my Busch Light hat.
Yes, I did at the ballpark the other night.
Yeah, I got one of those, and it's, you know, what a nice quality. That is outstanding. The Cardinal logo, like I'm wearing on my shirt, with Busch Light on it, though, is embroidered into it, and it's just a first class, first quality.
It's a cotton twill hat.
And looks good too.
I see. How come you got one and I didn't?
Well, something to do with Jamaica Bay and Cottonwood Estates and whatever, all that other stuff you said.
This is high. It's deep. Brunansky at the wall. Makes the catch right at the top of the wall. A long out number 2 in New York's 8th inning. That's a majestic shot.
Oh, off the bat, everybody's oohing and awing because he got his arms extended, got it up in the air. Now look at Brunansky. Uses all of his height. Wouldn't have gone over. Might have bounced on top, but I think it would have been just within inches of staying in the park.
It'll bring up Howard Johnson. You mentioned, just to wrap it up, we don't want to leave anybody hanging, that talking about the senior league, you were coming up with a new pitch.
Yeah, I've decided I'm going to let my full beard grow, and it's really white. And then I'm going to alter my motion and come up with a beard ball. I'm going to throw the ball right out of my beard, and it'll blend in with the white beard. You're really effective.
You're getting a little desperate, aren't you?
Yes.
1 ball, 1 strike on Howard Johnson, who's having a fabulous year. A beard ball.
That'll be my luck. They'll probably use orange baseballs.
Yeah. Just dye your beard. You'll fit right in. 6-4 in the 8th. Mets lead it. There's another hit for Johnson. What a year he's having. And they were going to trade him. He's hitting in the 290s. 27 homers, RBIs in the 70s.
He's really made himself a good hitter. Gets the sinker, goes with the pitch, and laces it into left field. You know, he's also a base-stealing threat. He's the only man in the National League with 20-plus home runs and 20-plus stolen bases, and he's real close to 30-30.
He has 31 stolen bases, 27 home runs. Got an outside shot at
40-40.
the Conseco Club, better known as the CC Club, among those who know Jose closely. 6-4 here in the 8th. Doesn't mean anything to me either, Al. And Juan Samuel is the batter. Samuel has 2 of the Mets' 13 hits in this game. Mets won the opener 5-1. Mets are going for their 4th straight win, their 7th win in their last 8 games. Johnson here in the 8th with a 2-out single. Quisenberry came in the 6th inning. He has not given up a run. 2 runs were charged to Horton, who went 5+. Costello pitched a 1/3 of an inning, gave up 4 runs, and the big blow, McReynolds homer, that tied it at 3. McReynolds was the first man he faced.
Is exactly 2 1/3 innings pitch.
It's close enough.
Within a couple
or so. Ken Wilson, Al Hrabosky, late at night at Shea. 8th inning, 2nd game of a doubleheader, off the glove of Quisenberry, right to Oquendo. That gives a force on Johnson, and it ends the 8th inning for New York. The Cards will come up in the 9th and see what they can do about rallying. The Phillies battle the Cubs in a wild one, 16-13. Philadelphia won it this afternoon. Giants at home this afternoon, 4-3 over Cincinnati. Dave Dravecky got the win, and the Padres over Houston, 13-3. The scoreboard brought to you by your Midwest GMC truck dealers. When you're in St. Louis, see Bellman, Bomarito, or Brockland GMC. Batting for Quisenberry, leading off the ninth, with the Cards down by 2. Jimin just back from Louisville, where he had 16 hits, including 2 homers in 14 games, and it's 2 strikes. I tried to charge that one, but it was just out of my reach. 0-2. Mets won the first game, 6-4 in the ninth, game 2. And Lindemann strikes out. First strikeout for Myers. He can really throw hard. When he pitched in the last series between these two teams at Busch, he was clocked in the low 90s. He can bring it. Coleman is 1 for 4 in this game. He tripled in the 5th inning ahead of Guerrero's 2-run homer that made it 3-0 at that point. New York got 6 runs in the 6th inning to make it 6-3. The Cards coming back with a run in the 8th, and it's 6-4 in the 9th. That's a strike, 1-1. With the Cubs losing and Montreal idle, the Expos are 2.5 back. If the Mets hold on to win this game, they'll be 3.5 out, and the 4th place Cardinals will be 5.5 behind Chicago. 2-1. Nolan Ryan now has a no-hitter going into the 9th inning against the Tigers at Arlington Stadium in Texas. Nolan Ryan 3 outs away from another no-hitter. 2-2 on Coleman. Ozzie Smith on deck. Long drive to right, but it'll go foul. A good many of the over 50,000 here tonight have already departed. They started this doubleheader 6.5 hours ago. Off the glove of Myers, he deflects it to Jefferies, on to Hernandez, and that's 2 down. Mets got a break there. That would have been up the middle for a hit had Myers not gotten a glove on it. The left-hander falls off to the third base side, and look at that. He deflects it as if he was doing it intentionally, which he certainly wasn't, and Jefferies able to make the play. 1-4-3. Well, Phil Thompson, a Cardinal fan, is here tonight. He wants us to let his wife know where he is. He's at the ballpark. He wants to say hi to his wife, Liz. Oz is 0 for 4, 1 for 8 in the doubleheader. Ball 1. Cards are down to their final out here in the ninth, trailing by 2 runs. Bases are empty. And it's a ball and a strike on Ozzie. The Mets tonight with 2 big innings. They batted around, scored 3 in the 2nd inning of the opening game, went on to win 5-1, and sent 10 to the plate in the 6th inning of the 2nd game. And that's the story. 1-2 on Ozzie Smith. And those that are still here are on their feet. And it's over. Randy Myers Myers gets the job done, saving the win for Jeff Musselman.